total one. This is amazing. It was clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Water.
For the first time here for season 3. Davis on pole, Vanderkrant in second. It's going to be sprint round action here tonight. Let's go racing here at Daytona. It was a good start there from Davis in comparison to Vanderkrant in behind. Cowan's absolutely bogged it up and already dropped out of the top 3 here as they come down towards turn 1 for the first time. There's biffing and barging between Gallen and Cowan. These guys are still going at it after last season. They survived for this time by though. Through turn 2 and 3 they come. Nice and clean, boys. Keep it up as they come up to...
I love riding. It's a real social thing. There's a great bond between riders.
Every weekend I look forward to getting out there. It's a freedom like no other.
Riding to work is a great way to start the day.
Shannons insure all types of road bikes, not just classics. They offer features riders really want. It's why they're one of Australia's leading motorcycle insurance providers.
Whatever you ride,
Whatever you ride,
Whatever you ride.
ride with Shannons.
Call 134646 for a quote.
Through turn 1, it was a horrible start from De Bono, who's absolutely bogged it up and gets eaten alive by Dixon and Gowans as they come on through. Through turn 1 they come, and they all spread out around in towards the first sector of the Silverstone circuit. They look all right at the moment. Okay, there's already been a car spun round. That's Jordan Ferguson offline.
Is green, green, green at Road Atlanta here as well. Faulkner did get away. De Bono is tucked in as well. Unfortunately, Houghton is on that outside line. De Bono does want to tell him to do. He's got the job. De Bono's overtaken. Now can he get Ben Faulkner? Up through turns for 2 and 3 they go. Round the right-hander, dropping down the hill. Faulkner's out in front. De Bono second. Houghton third. Ratcliffe in fourth. No real dramas going into turn 1.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannons,
We've also got Shannon's home and contents cover.
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be.
Shannon's.
Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 134646 for a quote.
This is amazing. It was clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Waters. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down the hill. Sam Noble wants to sniff on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because Bruce Tanek and Jamie Dyson just absolutely drove away from us. Hayden trying to go around the outside. This is where he could have just sent it up the inside, but he hasn't implemented it, which is fair enough. It's very scary out there, ladies and gentlemen. You know, let's see if we get a good run. Dodds just absolutely think about it. It's a really nice move. Blake Delaney had to move out of the way.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Sim Racing World TV, and welcome into the Cooler Master Super Formula Championship here for Round 8 of Season 4 of 2024 out at Circuit de Jerez for the Angel Nieto Moto layout here this evening. Firstly, I just want to apologise for the issues that happened yesterday on the Supercars broadcast. The internet decided it wanted to play funny buggers, and now we were unable to do it yesterday. So now we'll be doing it Friday night, 9:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Myself and Cinco will be in the booth for that show. Come watch along. It'll be on a replay file. So yeah, come and enjoy the action on Friday night. But tonight, I'm Hamish Munro, joined as always by Bradley Hudson. Hutto, tonight, penultimate round of the season, last droppable round of the season for these drivers. And due to some funny buggers happening on the road from some drivers, one or two drivers technically, but one driver specifically for the season's championship tonight just has to finish P24 on the road, and he will claim the Pro-Am Championship, that being Matt King.
Yeah, good evening, Hamish. Another exciting night of racing ahead of us. 60 minutes here around Jerez, or however you pronounce that big long introduction. But yeah, I guess we might see some early winners, or I guess early announcement of our series winners in the AM and the Pro-Am Championship. The pros look like they're going to go right down to the wire, so we'll keep an eye on those three drivers as we go through the race, Hamish.
Well, to be fair to the AMs, Hutto, that points gap has been drastically shrunken after Keegan Caldwell missed last week's race due to a round ban. Kevin Wakefield has found himself now within 35 points of Keegan Caldwell's lead of the championship, I do believe. So if Keegan were to have a poor race tonight and Kevin were to have a great one, it could really become closer next week. Plus as well, I mean, the good thing for Keegan is he, as what would happen in a normal round ban, he's been given back 4 points, so he's on 6. So he has 4 allowances here tonight to not miss next week. So that's pretty huge for him.
Yeah, I don't think Keegan will be using all 4 of those this week, Hamish. Something drastic would have to happen. But yeah, I think unfortunately for Keegan, he had a week off, and then the week before that accrued a few penalty points and had another 0 score. So I still think he's a little bit out of reach for the rest of the amateur class. Something drastic would have to happen. It would have to be an absolute shambles for Keegan, and Kevin would have to just, I guess, circulate, turn laps, and pick up more points. My tip is that it won't happen. I think Keegan will still be leading into the start of round 9, and I think he'll actually go on to win the championship, Hamish.
Yeah, it's pretty hard for someone like Kevin, for example, to challenge Keegan after he had such an insurmountable points amount over him, and he's been the betterment of Kevin all season, so that does look a little bit insurmountable. The Pro-Ams, as you mentioned, Pete Ziedler with a round ban this week for not following the rules last week. A Watkins, Glenn and admin found that he deserved a week off. So now this is a week that he's not getting points, and it's a week where Matt Keane just has to finish P24 on the road to claim the Pro-Am title for Season 4 for 2024.
Yes, Hamish, you're quite right. Matty Keane just pretty much needs to turn up, turn a few laps and finish the race. Peter Ziedler sitting back 215 points astray from Matthew Keane at the moment, and then Nathan Verney sitting in third and 320 behind Matty Keane. So with a maximum of 185 points available per round, that's the win and the fastest lap. It looks pretty, pretty certain that Matthew Keane will win that one.
You pretty much just have to not give up 180 points to the person who's in third. That's all he has
Correct,
to do.
And there would be 2 no-shows from Matty Keane, and Nathan Verney would have to win both races, but I think the pros would have something to say about that one, Hamish.
I think they would, and I think ending it out at Daytona next week would be quite wild if Nathan Verney were to win the race. Nothing against Nathan as well. Jack was saying, heard Hamish as being a little piece of work. What do you mean I'm being a little piece of work? What have I done? I've done nothing wrong. But then our pros as well. Hello, Jack Oz and Sasha. Thank you for watching along with us. What's important as well tonight, Hutto, being our second last F1 Shadow round of the season, David Gallo just needs to get a top 26 position and he locks out that championship as well, or just finish ahead of Daniel Byrne, or just within, so many positions of Daniel Byrne, because he's got over 200 points gap as well. He pretty much has to make the checkered flag at this point.
Yeah, correct, Hamish. Of this season, or I guess that championship in particular, has been going since towards the end of season 1. There's been 2 standout drivers really all season, and funnily enough, it's the 2 Carlins drivers of Daniel Byrne and Gallo. Last season, it was Daniel Byrne that won the inaugural F1 Shadow round, and it looks like Gallo will go ahead and win the second running of the Shadow round, which may in fact be the final time we run the Shadow series at SRW. Well, potentially not on the cards next season.
Yeah, at least for a long while. It's not currently penciled in for 2025, just because we enjoy our 3 weeks off. We don't want to have to fill those with F1 races on a Wednesday. But I mean, it's just like, some people forget about it mid-season. People want to enjoy their break as well. It's just next year for the calendars, if we have an F1 track on iRacing that matches the one in real life, we may run it the same week, but it's not going to be a Shadow Series round. It's just going to be, we just happen to be there the same week as the F1. But regardless as well, for Dylan De Bono tonight, Hutto, had a mega first half to this season. He's resurged a little bit last week. He had a couple of weeks of poor luck out on track with some other drivers. Tonight, he realistically just needs to try and beat Daniel Byrne, and it sets himself up nicely next week at Daytona to have the pressure take him off him a little bit, where he just has to try and complete the race and win the championship.
But that's the thing, Hamish. We look at the top 3 in De Bono, Byrne and Gallo. It's Carlins v Velocity Sim Labs, or Carlins versus De Bono, and I think all the pressure's really going to be on De Bono tonight. So I guess there's the cloud, or something hanging over the top of De Bono. He went close in season 2, he went close in season 3. The Australian Open Wheel Nationals is still lingering over the top, I'm sure, and it would be a fantastic way to end the year to see De Bono kind of shake off all that bad energy and go ahead and claim the victory. But yeah, all the pressure's on him. Hopefully it doesn't really get to him. But in saying that, the Carlins outfit, both Byrne and Gallo, have won championships this year already. So look, it's actually no, well, Byrne hasn't. Byrne has done very well in previous seasons, but Gallo taking out season 1. So look, it'll be interesting to see how this one pans out. Hopefully it doesn't go pan-shaped or like pear-shaped for De Bono, but look, we've seen crazier things happen here, Hamish.
We have indeed, Hutto, we have indeed. We, of course, as always, have our second screen running, tracking some other drivers in the field. It's currently on board with Jay Dixon. We also have some other drivers' cameras in the field. We have a new driver on the cam tonight. I do not know who this is, Hutto. So if they watch this back, tell me who you are, so I know when you have your camera on, if you have it on again next week, I know who to list you as. But right now, I'm unsure who this is. We have also got Adrian Loretti once again with his camera on. We a great moment at VIR, Hutto. We were on with him in his camera, and all we saw was him fly into the air, and we were like, what has happened to him? And we saw the aftermath of that. Callum Rosanita's also out there. More and more drivers getting into running their virtual cameras, which I love. Gives us a bird's eye view from them. Gives us their like what Cal's got, his gearing and his speed, obviously who he is, what team he represents as well. Keegan Corbell's also out there with his virtual camera, and we can actually follow his VR as he drives around as well. Although the quality not looking the best from Keegan at the moment as he spins it out off the road. And then Cowie once again out there with the virtual camera, looking as focused as ever in the AMS class. First lap time's been coming in though, Hutto, and currently Daniel Byrne leaves the timing tower with a 129.215 for Carlins Motorsport. This is the best scenario for him to try and challenge De Bono for this title and really put the pressure on him next week for Daytona.
Yes, well, the Carlins guys will be out there trying to get as far up the field, and hopefully, I guess they'll be fingers crossed that De Bono doesn't put a lap together, as we saw last week. De Bono, I think, had a bit of a spill early on in qualifying, then couldn't quite get back in a tow, and just had to start way down the pecking order. In saying that, that didn't really make a difference because De Bono was able to come through the field through races 1 and 2 and take out the round victory, Hamish.
Well, we've just seen Matt Keane go provisional pole, but he has just been beaten by Ray Oliver. Dylan De Bono now goes P3. Andrew Rushworth in the chat with us as well. Good evening, gents. Let's go Nick Martin, team Get a Grip. He's also said that could be Nick Martin, maybe. He did say he had set up his webcam. So that mystery man on camera could be Nicholas Martin in the field. Quite possibly. I'm sure he'll give me an answer if he watches the stream back. We also have Jordan Ferguson in the chat as well as Dougie Gowan saying track is slippery. Set up a bit twitchy as well. Well, Dougie, the best I can say to you is you get what you're given and you got to try your best. Would you agree with that one, Hutto? As there's been a real good start for some drivers, their license points, car 80 and car 033. That's going the way of Kevin Wakefield and Ben Brooks. So that is not going to help Kevin Wakefield's championship hopes for the AMS. Takes the pressure off Keegan Colwell a little bit coming into tonight's race.
Yes, Hamish, I guess, well, just quickly touching on the setup. Yeah, I guess the setup, as is chosen by iRacing, or that's the setup where we've picked it from. In saying that, I guess Dougie's saying it's a bit slippery. We have seen a lot of drivers in practice going off early. Probably just take a little bit too much pace into a corner and just sliding out to the out of the gravel traps either side of this track. As for the pit lane starts, yeah, I guess both drivers must be on 8 license points, putting them into a pit lane start. Or sorry, rear of grid or pit lane start, Hamish?
So rear of grid. So they're either on 8 or they've gone past 8 and gone to 9 in the span of a week.
Yeah, so, possibly. So I think in terms of pressure for the AMS Championship, well, I guess Kevin Wakefield's not an out-and-out performer in qualifying, so is it too much of a difference to what he may be used to? Perhaps not. Is the pressure off of Keegan? No, I still think Keegan will want to have a good showing, and I guess if he's been listening to what we've been able to say on the broadcast, if he just keeps it clean and just picks and chooses his battles, he should be able to take home the AM Championship tonight. Whilst it may not be mathematically possible, it's looking more and more likely, Hamish.
Giuliano Sinise's also been given a rear of grid penalty as well, Hutto, for towing without permission back last week for round 7. So he also will now start at the backfield with Brook and Wakefield. So we'll have to watch for Sinise and Brook to start really drilling their way through the field tonight, as they're going to have a tough task trying to find their way further up the order. I have seen the Jack Marksons in the field as well. So he was away, I believe, last week because of the Adelaide 500s. He's now back in the field this week. And rocking and rolling around in the open wheelers once again. De Bono sits provisional pole. Danny Davidson's gone P2, who's been at the height of controversy recently, Hutto. We won't talk about it too much. And not everything has necessarily been Danny's fault. There's been equal parts to play for a couple of drivers involved, but it's realistically, it's looking at the drivers just need to try and clean up their act a little bit coming into into season 1 next season. I mean, there's not a lot of room for that sort of driving for anyone in the field, no matter who it is.
No, and I guess race control and the admin team had to sit down and kind of stamp out these sort of racing standards and just I say demonstrate that it definitely wasn't on. So look, they've clamped down hard on a few drivers recently, and I think even Shane Ratcliffe received a week off as well for another misdemeanor, but in the GR86s. So look, it's not across, or it's across, I guess, all 4 leagues that we run here. We don't like to see it. Hopefully we don't see it in the future, and I guess it serves as a warning to drivers in the future that they need to tidy up their act and keep the racing clean, and hopefully we have a good experience all over.
Mr. Simmons asking big field tonight. It is a relatively big field tonight. There's 37 drivers in the field. Greg Johnson doesn't set a time just yet. Returns off his week holiday as well. There's 37, but only 34 of them can set laps in qualifying. This should be Jono's first lap if it has been clean. So we have got just under 40 drivers in the field. It was his first lap that is counted. He scored P33. So Kevin Wakefield, Ben Book, Giuliano Sinise with rear of grids at the moment. Need to be remembering about any... some of the penalty for it last Tuesday. I think it's impeding in qualifying. So any impeding in qualifying will lead to a pit lane start for any drivers as well. So the drivers have to be careful about that when circulating around here. A lot of them have been finding it difficult, Hutto, to keep the car away from the off tracks around here. This circuit is very, very cruel with some of its off tracks, but in practice you should find out where all the off tracks are so you know where to kind of pull the car in and try not to push it too hard through that section. Yeah,
correct, Hamish. I think we might see 1 or 2 drive-throughs, drivers just getting caught out with the incident point count available to us tonight. Like you said, it's the changing of elevation, and I guess, you know, the corners sweeping over the top of a crest. It has caught a lot of drivers out. I think in the first couple of laps it's going to be hopefully not too scrappy, but I think it will be. It's inevitable that we'll see spinners, we'll see people go wide with the gravel trap. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one for drivers tonight, Hamish.
I think it will. One driver that is actually really rocketeering his way far up the order tonight, Ray Oliver. P3 at this stage for SLM. His teammate Matt Keane is inside the top 10 as well. And, you know, these guys just working together in the field. But Ray's done well to actually find some pace at the circuit. He's struggled in the last few rounds that he's done to actually keep the car from self-spinning. Tonight could be a tough task to do that because this track loves the self-spin. But he looks to be on at the moment. He looks to be comfortable around this track and with this setup.
Yeah, it's good to see when a driver and a setup and a track just gel sort of thing, and they get to, I guess, get a result further up the field. It's always good to see. It'll be good to see if Ray Oliver can really help Matty Keane. Not that he, I guess, needs all the help to try and win that Pro-Am championship, but every little bit counts, and it will bode well for championships going forward as well, Hamish.
You know what would be hilarious, Hutto, is if Matt Keane thinks this is a sprint round and he tries to finish P10 in race 1 when there's only one race.
Yeah, I guess Matty Keane does find himself sitting around that P10 after about 20 minutes, doesn't he, Hamish, as we've seen the last 3 weeks. So we might have to have a little bit of a check-in at the 20-minute mark and see how he's travelling.
Well, he is pushing on hard inside the top 10 at this stage. Jamie Davis finds himself just outside the top 10 as well. Jamie has done something outside of, I don't know what happened last night in supercars, so if he actually did cop licence points and got himself a round ban, then this means nothing. But Jamie has done something for the first time this season, if he hasn't done that yesterday, Hutto, and that is he will be eligible to race in the final round of the season for V8 Supercars on Tuesdays for the first time in 2024. This will be his first season he would have gone without a round ban.
Wow. Well, I guess
it's an exceptional effort from him to improve that much and to get a season under his belt where he's actually been eligible to race every single race.
I guess I don't really know how to answer that one. I guess it's good that he's racing cleaner or keeping himself incident-free.
He's keeping himself incident-free. He's staying out of trouble as well. He was pretty close last week in what was determined as a racing incident. But I don't think there was much more blame you could put on him other than other drivers in that scenario as well. But he's done well. I have to give him his props. He's done well to actually run a very, very clean season this season and keep himself eligible for every single round. I did start talking about it yesterday before I was rudely cut off by my internet. But yeah, so props to Jamie for doing so.
I guess Jamie's been one of those, not, I guess, out-and-out performers or standouts, but his name's definitely popped up a few times with pit strategies or just finding himself towards the front midway through a race, and he just hasn't really been able to go on and consolidate and win it. I do think he is a race winner. I'll have to double-check the records for that one, Hamish, but yeah, his name has definitely popped up once or twice throughout the season, Hamish.
I think I just saw... is Brandon Levin in the field tonight? He is in the field. I just saw him, Jamie's teammate, run wide and actually go reverse entry into the gravel trap. He's yet to set a time in this session now. This will bring us up to 38 drivers in the session tonight. Keep them coming. They just got to get in within the next 60 seconds and they can race as Dylan DeBono crosses the line. He is provisional pole position at the moment. Does he improve his time? Does not, but he doesn't really need to. He's got a good chunk of time over Danny Davis at the moment. Dean Sinkovich back in the field after a week off as well. And if anyone deserves to have the book thrown at them, I feel like Dean was probably the most deserving, as he should be held at the highest order of cleanliness.
I guess it is your sand pit or joint owned by your brother, so Yeah, I guess what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and if the league owners have to sit a week out, then so be it. Them's the rules, Hamish.
That's right. That's exactly right. We've got 15 seconds left before the timing finishes here in qualifying, being a normal round tonight, and we have no sprint rounds left this season. Only the next 2 rounds are normal rounds. So anyone that's on a lap can finish their lap this time by Hutto. They can finish it past the 15 minutes, but they have to start the lap before the 15 minutes is up. Now that 15 minutes is up, anyone who's about to cross the line, like Jack Michelson, for example, this will be their last lap in qualifying as he crosses. Goes P22, so doesn't find himself as high up in the order as he's previously been, Hutto, but not a bad attempt for someone who hasn't managed to get in a heap of practice laps tonight.
Yeah, I guess a few drivers actually taking upon themselves to have limited practice. I think we saw in the chat earlier, or in practice, Adrian Loretti and I think Jay Dixon, the DFR drivers, taking upon themselves to have as little practice as possible. I think it turned out quite well for Adrian. Or was it 1 week that Adrian actually did a bit of practice? He came P2. So
yeah, it was last week. He actually put the practice in and he finished on the podium.
So and this week he doesn't practice. So we'll just see how those results turn out with minimal practice, Hamish.
Well, Jay Dixon finds himself just outside the top 10 in P12. Loretti at the moment is in P18. But he's about to finish this lap, so that's all done and dusted. Daniel Byrne, can he challenge for a provisional pole, or is this just a cool-down lap? Looks to be a cool-down lap to me. Hutto does not look like he's pushing too hard. I don't think there's anyone out there that can really challenge De Bono for that pole time at the moment.
No, it looks like De Bono's got pole wrapped up as the moment. Where's Daniel Byrne? No, Daniel Byrne's red at the moment. So, look, congratulations to Bono. That's the first little tick in the box that he needed for tonight's race. Now he's got to defend like crazy and try and keep the 2 Carlins Motorsport drivers behind him.
Hang on. Mr. Simmons has just made a contradictory prediction. He's made a 2-in-1 prediction saying, prediction, first corner clean or pile up. I'm picking 4 cars caught up in pile up. I'll do you one better there, Mr. Simmons. If we're going to have a pile up at turn 1, there will be at least 10 cars hurt by the pile up. Whether it's they have to take avoiding action or they're actually hit, it'll be a lot of drivers caught up at turn 1 if there's a pile up.
No, it'll be turn 2. I think there'll be 1 go wide, 1 or 2 go wide at turn 1, and then turn 2, turn 3, because it's quite tight back onto itself.
Yeah.
That's where the carnage will happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think turn 1, it'll probably come from people rejoining the track off the exit of turn 1, and that's what'll cause the chaos at turn 2. But I agree. I don't think we'll get too much struggles at turn 1. Maybe a car spins mid corner, but that's about it. But starting grid though for this race will be as follows. It's our only race for the evening. Maximum points on the line. 4 points separate every single position at the end of this race. And Dylan De Bono will start pole position ahead of Danny Davidson, with David Gallo, the provisional F1 Shadow Series champion, starting P3. If he remains where he starts, he will solidify that championship win here tonight and become the champion-elect for 2024. Daniel Byrne will start at a P4, with Ray Oliver starting P1 for the Pro-Ams, P5 on the road with Scotty Pocock in P6. Doug Gowans, Matt Keane find themselves inside the top 10, with Sam Catakazinis and Jamie Davis making up the top 10 here in qualifying. Matt Gerard, Jay Dixon will make up the top 12 cars on the road. On the 7th row of the grid, we have Matt Tessariero and Mitch Noble, with Tyler Sheaf and Jason Depp starting in behind their Velocity Racing team teammate on the 8th row of the grid. Keegan Caldwell, Adrian Loretti, they'll line up alongside each other. Keegan will start pole for the AMs, with Dean Singovich and Sean Benici inside the top 20. Nathan Verney, Jack Michelson for the top 22. Tony Baker and Callum Rosanita will start at a P23 and P24. Cal will line up directly in behind his teammate inside the top 25. Thomas Donahue, Timothy Schmalenberg, then Cam Hardwick and Josh King for the top 28, with Nick Martin, Nick Schmalenberg, couple of Nicks starting inside the top 30. Andrew Cowan, Miguel Crespo, Greg Johnson, Kyle Gretsch, the last drivers to set times in qualifying. The rear of grids, Giuliano Sinise, Ben Brook, Kevin Wakefield, Brandon Levin did not set a time in qualifying, so there'll be 4 cars at the back of the grid this evening. It's a big grid, Hutto. You know what that means? It's going to be big chaos at turn 1 or turn 2.
Well, if we take on Simmons' advice of a clean corner 1 and then four cars piling up, yeah, I guess there's going to be a bit of action early on. I think we're going to see a lot of cars just going off. Hopefully it doesn't actually result in too much damage to other cars, like coming back on and the tail flicking out, that sort of thing. But I think that we're going to see our fair share of off tracks, that is, Hamish.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that one, Hutto. Cowie's claiming in the chat, all the practice sessions I practice in were wet, not much dry running. That should make him faster if he's practicing the wet. I find that you should be faster in the dry if you practice in the wet than if you practice in the dry for a wet race.
Well, I do believe the session was set up so there'll be 0% rain or 0 chance of rain. Whether the driver's been out there running or making their sessions and changing the... I know iRacing sometimes just regenerates the settings for it and may have thrown in a little bit of weather for them, so I guess not ideal conditions to have practice in, but look, on a dry track it should be a lot easier than trying to drive in the wet. Right, Hamish?
It should be. It really, really should be. Lights are going to go up though. Second last round of the season about to get underway. We match the Losail Grand Prix circuit for the Qatar GP here tonight with Jerez. De Bono leads them away off the line. Green flag running. Everyone has made it off the line towards turn number 1. But can they keep it clean through the first sector of this Jerez circuit? As De Bono leads them through, Gallo tucks right in behind Davison. They've kept it nice and tidy for the moment. Sinkovic has gone round at turn 1. I did say someone had spin at turn 1, Hutto, but it shouldn't affect them, and it was Sinker's parameter to do so. Everyone, though, has made it through turn 2, nice and clean, it seems, as they come around the long sweeping bends of Jerez. As De Bono leads Davison to Gallo to burn for the top 4. Oliver still P1 for the Pro-Ams. He's in P5. His teammate is 2 spots off the back of him as they come down the long back straight.
Yeah, nice clean start to the race. As we predicted, one little car going around, but that's been called in already, so we'll see what race control has to say about that one. And a few cars just getting caught up in the early exchanges.
That was a big one. Sorry to cut you off, Hutto. Kyle Gretsch and Greg Johnston into the wall at the end of the back straight. And now Gerard and Noble off. What has happened now at the midpoint of this lap?
I think that'll be one for the replay and for race control to divulge.
Quite possibly.
There we go. Kyle Gretsch's... car 10 has requested a tow. Mitch Noble.
Yes, Mitch Noble.
Is sitting dormant at the moment. So.
And Danny Davis is now taking the lead from Dylan De Bono somehow as well.
Well, it's a 60-minute race. There's a lot of time. You don't have to be... Sorry, just listen to the comms. Oh, big hit. And car 10 has been allowed to tow, so the race will continue and no safety car called. Handy enough.
That's fair enough. So what's happened here? So that's really going to depend if Kyle was alongside before turn-in on that one. If he's alongside before turn-in, then the onus is on Johnston. If he's not, then Johnston... Well, then Kyle would be at fault for that one. For Mitch Noble and Matt Gerard, what has happened with them? Oh, a bit of net code.
Just yeah, possibly the net code or just on the limit of adhesion. Hamish, as another car takes another excursion out the dirt there. So, yeah, I think we're going to see lots of that. Cars just running wide or, a bit of a self-spin. I think looks like you might have just, it's cold tyres, it's lap 1. You're not going to have all the grip that you wanted. So it normally takes 2 to 3 laps for the tyres to really grip up, Hamish, and I guess guys that have got plenty of experience know to take it easy for the first 2-3 laps and then try and get into a rhythm. And that'll be another thing. The tyre wear for this track, I'm not too privy to how damaging the tyres will get scuffed up around this track.
It is disgusting, Hutto, is what it is.
So we might see. I guess a driver or two take tyres halfway through the race just to get them home. I guess.
If you're in the position of, say, an Adrian Loretti or a Jack Michelson, for example, you're kind of mid-pack as a pro, take the tyres. Get the grip advantage. Use your pace to make your way through the field nice and easily. Now, Michelson's already made up 6 spots. Loretti's dropped a couple because he ran it wide, but use that to your advantage. Or if you're in Brandon Levin's scenario, you're all the way at the back of the field, or Giuliano Sinise as well. Take the tyres. Get the grip advantage. It's a long race. It'll pay off for you.
And if it's a green race the whole way, yeah, I'd probably look at doing tyres. If there's a few safety cars thrown in the mix, it might... 663's just getting race control on the blower to see if they can check an incident. But yeah, if it's green the entire way, Hamish, I imagine you can always. Oh, Dougie Gowns has been turned by.
Matt Keane.
That was called Matty Keane. So
I just, as it was happening, I clicked on this moment here with Cowie. I think this might be a self-inflicted moment. Please let me scroll up so I can see what's happened. Okay, so that was a self-infliction. But this was Gowans and Keane. This is not going to help Keane's chances for his Pro-Am championship. Here, Hutto.
Oh, who was that other velocity card?
That's
Katagazinos. Yeah. So well, we know netcode's been quite poor in this game recently, so hopefully there was no... hopefully there was no netcode at play, but unfortunately the driver's gone around, so race control will have a look at it and divulge and hand out a penalty if required.
Yep, and Jamie Davis also just extending the track a little bit too much to the point of the gravel trap. That's what spun him around. Kevin Wakefield's dropped a spot now. Nothing too serious. Cam Hardwick spun it at the final corner. I feel this may be a continuous scenario at the final corner, Hutto, where we see cars spinning.
I guess the self-spin. You've come in, all these other corners, they're all right-handers or sweeping corners, and then all of a sudden you've got a hairpin you've got to, I guess, try and tackle after coming off a triple right-hander, which is the MotoGP layout there, which is, by all means, it is a lot of fun when you've got a high downforce car and you pedal to the metal and full right hand down and the car just takes you around the corner. It's fantastic, and then you have to, I guess, really jump on the anchors and pull it up for the hairpin. So, look, I think like you said, it'll be a common occurrence all night. We're going to see a lot of self spins in the tight section and also the long sweeping corners. Hamish, I think people just run out of adhesion.
Yeah, this track being such a flowy but winding track, fast-paced corners, it kills the tyres. And the more self-spins you have, the worse your tyres are obviously going to get. One other thing that drivers are going to have to be crucially careful of tonight is the pit entry. The reason they're going to have to be careful is there is a bit of AstroTurf on the inside of the corner, Hutto. If your tyre hits the AstroTurf, it is a 40-second stop hold. Like, even if it's minute, it is a 40-second stop hold. So they're going to have to be careful of that entry. It's very, very brutal. It's, in my opinion, overly brutal. I don't know why you get an off-track and a stop hold for touching a bit of AstroTurf. I mean, you don't gain anything out of it.
Well, I guess that's the rule. Look, safety car has been called.
Oh, why has it been called? I think it might be... because Schnabel's running. It's Miguel Crespo. Because he is on his air intake. What has happened to Miguel Crespo down here? Oh, self-spin, caught at the rear. Okay. Okay then. That is the slowest rollover I've ever seen in history, Hutto. I think you could agree.
I guess it's up there with one of those. We've seen some weird mechanics by the game. What was it? Several weeks ago, where there was a car just got flipped completely after like a very minimal contact. So there you go. Safety car makes its way onto track now, and where's Danny Davison and all this? Probably halfway around the track.
There he is.
There we go.
At the final corner. So Kyle Gretsch has also been found to have incident responsibility for avoidable contact on lap 1 with Greg Johnson, so he'll now find himself having a drive-through. Not what you'd want as the newly promoted race director who had their first duties in that job last night in the supercars.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, not one you never really want to receive a penalty when racing, Hamish. But look, those are the rules that we all abide by, and race control, hands down those decisions. And I'm sure this is a long race, and they'll be able to bounce back from that one quite easily, Hamish.
The argument you can make is Kyle knows firsthand what not to do as a driver, so he is the most accurate person to hand out penalties because he knows not what to do.
Yeah, you'd think that, but anyway, we move on. What was that? 8 minutes of racing. So, look, I guess I did expect a safety car to happen. I was, quite gearing up for a no safety car race, to be honest, Hamish. But in saying that, we've seen lots of spins, lots of, cars wash out. So I guess it was inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about it pre-race. I said I think we're probably going to get a safety car at some point. To get it this early, I didn't necessarily expect it. That there was poor game mechanics that has caused this safety car. His car should never have rolled like that by backing into the tyre barrier at about 2 kilometres an hour, but it did. So, you know, it looked like they were going to go clean for a little while. I kind of expected at halfway point of the race maybe, but the problem I can now see occurring is we're going to get into this habit of safety car restart. They come round off the green lap they've gone green on to start the next lap, and someone spins last corner and everyone piles into them.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, with the old motto, safety cars breed safety cars, and I don't want to see it, but I think that may be the case tonight, Hamish.
Yeah, I really hope not. I mean, we don't want safety cars to determine championships. In saying that, for the AMS Championship, Keegan Caldwell at the moment is in P11 on the road, has had a great start in this race to keep his race clean, but also get himself further up the field as well.
Well, he's 6 spots ahead of Tony Baker, and I guess the main players in Kevin Wakefield down in P28, and I think behind them, him in P3. I think it's not Sinkovic, Josh King, actually. Josh King sitting in P24. So a nice gap, a bit of breathing room for Keegan, and yeah, I think he's done quite well all season. I think he'll be able to hold his medal and stay in around the top 15, and yeah, I'm looking forward to him taking a handy lead into the final round, Hamish.
I've just noticed how high up his seating position is in this car with his VR. It needs to be slightly lower than that to be a bit more realistic, Mr. Caldwell.
Well, I guess it's always handy to see the front of the nose, and each driver can pick and choose the point of view that they race with. Some drivers go for a super realistic point of view, you know, not right down low, or, you know, myself, I like to be a little bit higher. So yeah, it's really down to the driver's taste, really, Hamish.
Yeah, as someone who raced with a single screen for a long while, I used to position my open wheeler FOV where I was a bit higher, so I could see obviously above the top of the car, like above the top of the nose cone, but further back so I could actually see both mirrors, because it's so important in an open wheeler to use your mirrors. And it was just kind of like one of those bubble mirrors where it kind of just pushes everything further and further back, a bit like I'm trying to think what kind of cameras it would be, but like a half zoom camera, you know. So
I'll tell you what, racing with a single screen, it's going from a single to a triple.
I don't think I could ever race on a single again.
No, you realise that you're racing through a letterbox slit, essentially. That's all you can see, and then you get triples, and like you can see left and right of arc. You can see who's alongside you or trying to make a pass. It's a huge benefit, and those who choose to race VR, I guess, have got. I guess you can still see left and right of arc, but then you've physically got to turn your head.
Yeah.
So I guess it has its benefits. For me, it does hurt my eyes, so I don't really race with VR. Yeah, but each their own, but triples over singles any day, Hamish.
Yeah, I agree. Andrew Rushworth has just absolutely flamed Keegan in the chat. His hamsters need to run faster to increase the quality. Oh, that's gold. That's gold. Yeah, maybe he shouldn't have tried to run so much on his virtual camera, possibly. Someone whose virtual camera is working nicely, though, is Callum Rosanitas. We can see all of his high little details of his driving, all the overlays he normally runs, plus his name and his team name as well, Hutto. So if you're wondering who that is, he's at least labelled it for you this time. He attempted last week with a piece of paper that I just could not read where he had put it. I just could not see it. So he came up with this.
The safety car is in pit lane, so we'll be getting underway. When does Danny go? Does he go straight away, or does he hold it?
He's gone straight away. He's gone straight away. That answered that question very, very quickly for us, Hutto, off of the back of that. So we're underway once again. Green flag running, and De Bono is already hot on the heels of Danny Davidson as they rocket around turn number 1. I want to keep an eye on the mid-pack because this could start to get spicy up at turn 1. The whole field has only just come round the final corner as well. That is how far back the train goes for this whole field. As some drivers are trying to make moves early, including Timothy Schmalenberg on the inside of Josh King. Dixon's right there as well. As he tries to get this move done, he cannot quite do it. Caldwell's now found his way past Matt Tesseriero, but he is hot on his heels as they rocket around down the back straight. On board with Caldwell now. He's rocking the Sebastian Vettel helmet on his head this week, Hutto, as Tesseriero gets the position back at that point on the circuit. But they seem to have settled back into a rhythm already. It doesn't seem like they've left strange bedfellows out there and they've decided they want to keep boxing for position. They're trying to keep it nice and clean.
Oh, who's that?
Bono's off track.
The Bono.
And he's got broken steering, I think, possibly, Hutto. Oh, no.
Yeah, it looks a bit... Oh. Just looking at the front of his nose there. It doesn't look too bad. He seems to have picked up speed okay, but I guess the telling point will be in the braking zone now. See if any misshape, or see if he even comes in. It looks like he's staying out again, Hamish, so
yeah.
Hopefully he hasn't sustained too much damage. So yeah, I guess a lot of work to be done by Dylan De Bono now again, to work his way through the field, and he'll be hoping for a safety car at some stage to get things settled again.
Kind of proves that no one is exempt to a mistake and running off track around Jerez, as Rosanita and Donahue continue their battle as well. In behind him, this is now found Jack Markson ahead of De Bono. So he's got someone he has to try and chase down and battle for position. And there's Benici. Caldwell now finds himself inside the top 10, hot on the heels of Matt Tesseriero. Tyler Sheaf inside the 10 as well. Three of the top 4 Pro-Am drivers are all Velocity Racing Team drivers, Hutto. Ray Oliver is the only outsider in this scenario, leading the way for SLM.
Well, it's about time VRT kind of came to the front.
Pulled
and
their finger out,
yeah,
maybe? That we expected
exactly.
them to?
That's what I was going to say, but I was trying to say it a bit more modestly. But yes, they've kind of just been absent. They came with a presence at the start of the season. They enlisted 6 drivers, and they end up getting split 4 and 2 into their Pro-Ams and the Ams, and they haven't quite had the success they'd, I guess, hoped. But yeah, tonight could be a good showing for the VRT team, and yeah, fingers crossed to them.
So I think unfortunately for Kevin Wakefield, he has just had a spin at the back end of the back end of the back straight. So Cam Hardwick was trying to go for a move down his inside. Oh, just yep. That's unfortunate for him, and then Cowie had a sympathy spin for him as well. So it's unfortunate for Kevin, and I think you might be right. I think it's going from bad to worse for him in terms of challenging for this AM Championship, but there's still a long way to go, Hutto. We still have 43.5 minutes left to run in this race. Anything can happen, especially to Danny Davidson, David Gallo, Daniel Byrne at the front of the field. There could be safety cars or strategy plays that take them out of advantage in this race over Dylan De Bono. And the checkered flag, as mentioned, it doesn't fly for another 43 minutes, so who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, a long time to the checkered flag. It's been, what, several weeks since we've actually had a 60-minute race, so the drivers will have to, I guess, recalibrate and get themselves aware to 60-minute racing. And it'll probably be quite fatiguing because a lot of tight turns, not many straights where they can actually have a bit of a break. And in saying that, with a lack of straights, it looks like it's very hard to overtake out there tonight, Hamish, because I guess once you get underneath the wing of the car in front, you don't really have... Well, if you're trying to get a run on them onto the straight, there's not much of a straight to actually get it done. And then even if you're trying to get them on corner exit, you've got another corner which might be, going the other way. So I think the drivers are going to have their hands full tonight, try to actually make clean passing moves tonight, Hamish.
So the real characteristics of this track, Hutto, is unless you have the pace over a competitor, the only places you can make overtakes is the end of the main straight up at turn 1 and then the end of the back straight, where we've seen a couple of cars make contact. They are your best options for overtakes throughout this race. So unless you're someone like De Bono, where you've actually got some pace over these guys, you're going to have to just be patient and wait until you have that long straight where you can maximize your run out of the corner before, get the toe, line up alongside, and then send it into the braking zone, which Matt and Keegan have been going back and forth on the last few laps. That's now going to take hold as Keegan let De Bono past him. It's a good teammate move, as he now looks to send it up the inside of Tesseriero, gets the job done. There's been an incident in the background. Brandon Levin, I believe, has been involved. He's spun round at the moment. So what has occurred down there? A couple of drivers, I think, could have been caught up in it. But Levin has struggled. Revs Martin in the chat has confirmed that mystery driver with the camera on is Nick Martin, so thank you so much for letting us know of that one. Oh, so it was a self-spin for 11. Cars having to go off track to avoid. Good holding of brakes, though, from Brandon on that scenario.
Yeah, just touching back to Matt Tessariero and Keegan Caldwell. We've seen, I guess, yeah, Matt and Keegan, toing and froing and just, giving each other space because, there's a lot of racing to be done still, and Keegan really doesn't need to take himself out at this point in time. So, yeah, a bit of smart racing there by Keegan and Matt as well to both let De Bono through, and De Bono has made up a handful of positions already since his little self-spin, and, yeah, I guess he'll now push on to the next VRT driver in Tyler Sheaf and then to Jason Depp potentially.
Yeah. I mean, he has found his way back inside the top 10, so it's not such a bad net loss for Dylan De Bono at the moment. He is trying to make gains up the field. What he can hope for right now is another safety car, just to close the gap a little bit more as well. So they are fighting.
A few little trains developing out here, and there seems to be a lot of gaps actually opening up, Hamish, quite a lot. Seeing a lot of the timing tower turn into yellow and white, but then we're having these little pockets of 4 or 5 cars sitting in a train. So I guess a lot of cars, whether they've been caught out by spin or a poor qualifying, really finding it hard to make those overtake moves, as we see in the bottom screen. Vernie just watching the battle pack ahead. And yeah, it could be for those who are going to throw caution to the wind in terms of strategy, they could be the big winners tonight, Hamish.
Yeah, they very well could. I mean, the drivers at the back end of the field who are above a second outside of their battle, realistically, they're drivers who've had spins or off tracks or penalties applied to them, or they've been caught up in an incident. Everyone else who's kind of in limbo towards the front of the field, that's just kind of the pace discrepancy at the moment between those guys. But the mid-pack is as tight as ever because it's the crossover point of being with drivers who are at your pace, but also being ahead of drivers who are above your pace, who are trying to get past you in amongst these battle packs. So it's really, it's going to tighten up, I think. It'll stretch out once again, but this is going to be a long haul and a big slog for these drivers here tonight as they just try and survive for another 40 minutes of racing.
Correct, Hamish, and just talking, oh, who's that? It's almost going to go around. Just looking at Tony Baker, almost getting sideways. But yeah, I guess the fuel tank is another 23 litres of 50% capacity, so that'll last the drivers somewhere between, I think it's 22 to, Cowie. Sorry, Cowie just calling in race control, something over the airways. But yes, the cars only have 23 litres, and that should last them 22 to 25 minutes as well. So we should be able to see the drivers come in around that half-hour mark, and then it'll be interesting to see if there's another safety car, whether those that choose to pit and they have to gas up, or if they'll try and fuel save and take it all the way through to the end, Hamish.
I think depending on how many safety cars we get tonight, I think that will be really dependent on if they can pull the one stop off. It's a big fuel save to try and do it under green for a majority of the race, as Timothy Schmalenberg's just gone round. Martin now finds his way past him on track as he continues to push this 928 car around the circuit. Don't mind the
Bonici's.
Oh, yeah,
Bonici's gone in for a pit.
Or is he pitted? No, he's pitted.
Oh no, he's just pitted. He's coming in early, so I wonder if he's seen something that other drivers haven't.
Well, maybe he knows, even though we had safety car, we've made it to 22 minutes. Maybe he knows that if he can just kind of come in a bit early, stick to some strategy, he can come out the beneficiary of it.
That's all right. He might know that he may not be a fuel saver or not being able to fuel save all that well, and he might be just going, look, I'm in a bit of a train, I'm getting held up, or he's just to take the pressure off himself to go and turn some laps in clean air. So it may work out for him in the long run, Hamish.
It could very well do, and the undercut could work quite well here for some drivers as well, if they can really set themselves up properly for the undercut. So if he feels he has some pace over some other drivers in the field, that could work out quite well for him, as Adrian Loretti as well is trying to chase his way inside the top 10. He's currently 2 positions off it, trying to chase down Keegan Caldwell, who has a 3-second gap over him, but he has lost touch of Matt Tessariero and the top 10 at this stage.
Yeah, I guess Dylan De Bono coming through the field really didn't help that one, but I think Keegan won't be too upset having a 3-second gap, seeing as his next competitor, or I guess, yeah, title contender in Kevin Wakefield sits back in P33, Hamish.
Yeah, I mean, well, although to be fair to, well, yeah, I mean, Kevin he's just struggling. He's just struggling tonight, it seems, and it is getting more and more out of touch for him as Michelson and Baker are now battling inside the top 15. Sean's just said to us he had damage, so he's coming to pit lane to fix his damage. As Miguel Crespo's now in pit lane, and I believe Kyle Gretsch is also out of the race as well, so maybe a bit of damage limitation for those drivers here this evening. Giuliano Sinise on your screen, Hutto. He's been trying to make his way through the field. He's up 17 positions into P20. Ben Brook, who also started at the back of the field thanks to a rear of grid penalty, he's up 16 into P22 at the moment.
Yeah, I guess a few early movers and shakers. Who else? I think you said Benjamin Brook, and yeah, Donahoe up 12. Jason Depp with some positive moves, up 9 positions early on into the 7th position. And I guess the losers, unfortunately, Doug Gowan's having a bit of a self-spin early on, Jay Dixon getting caught up in an incident and then pitting as well. Jamie Davis, bit of a self-spin as we saw earlier as well, and Matty Keane, another driver losing out early. So yeah, like we said, early days. It's we're only 25 minutes through the race, so expect to see a few cars starting to think about pitting now, Hamish.
Apparently,
that was ambitious by Roseneater.
Yeah. Apparently Jack Michelson has a drive-through penalty, although Roseneater's just coming to pit lane.
Someone's requesting too. Who's that?
Who's that? Oh, is it
91? That'll be Josh King.
It is Josh King, and he's on the side of the road.
Oh, that's a bent car.
It is a very bent car. Is it a dangerous enough spot that they call a safety car here? I don't know. He's been allowed
to tow.
He has.
That's good. I guess you know, it allows the race to, you know, keep going, and yeah, the strategy. 260 receiving a drive-through penalty now, Hamish. Who's that? Jack Michelson, yes.
I'm just trying to find where he's had this avoidable contact. So he got passed by Sean Maniche. I didn't know if possibly he was the cause of Sean's broken car or not. I'm unsure, so I'm just tracking this for the moment to see if that may have been the issue at hand, possibly. I'm not 100% sure at this stage. He also passed Keegan Caldwell, but I don't believe made contact. Looking at the inside of... Oh, no, I don't know. I'm not sure. Oh, that'll be it right there. Yeah, that'll be it right there. So, yeah, all right. So we held on to it for long enough, and that was where it was. I actually meant to pick the one where he passed Sean, not when Sean passed him. So that's fine. We found it in the end. So Jack has to come in for a drive-through penalty. Jason Depp, Sam Catakazinos into pit lane now as well. Danny Davidson leads the way by 5.9 seconds over David Gallo. He is in a further 2.7 seconds over his teammate Daniel Byrne. This is the best scenario for Mr. Gallo. He has to try and get home here on his... I think I might have misheard you earlier, Hutto. Were you saying lap 22 they could get to, or 22 minutes?
I think it's 22 minutes. I'll have to double check the numbers we crunched prior to the race. But yeah, 22 to 25 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's when the drivers can expect, and then the safety car on top of that. So about the half-hour mark, we should see them come in.
Yeah, okay. That's all right. I was just wondering, because I'm thinking, oh, are they actually able to do it in a one-stop? But I'm not sure now. But yeah, I mean, Gallo, he's in a good spot at the moment. This is all he has to do to win the F1 Shadow Series, Hutto. Just keep it clean, keep it up the front end of town as Davison comes into pit lane. Will Gallo follow him? No, he's going to go for another lap and try and build some gap over Davison. Or at least pull in the gap that was 5.9 seconds to the previous leader of the race.
Davison's in the pit, and so's De Bono.
Yep, so De Bono's in, Davison's in, as is Tesseriero. Keegan's in as well. So this could be smart from De Bono. Could try and pull off an undercut here just to try and, again, chop out some gap on a couple of drivers who are ahead of him up the road.
But it all depends on where De Bono comes out now. So if he pits now, he may come into traffic. That's going to be a thing that'll, I guess, really hamper his efforts trying to get back through the field, because he's already had to do it once, so he's going to be losing time to the leaders there. but really it's about points. Dylan just needs to, you know, I guess get as many points and positions as possible to try and extend his, I guess, little lead that he has at the moment. But yeah, if he gets enough clean air and hopefully cars around him pit as well, he might find himself, making quite a lot of ground very quickly, Hamish.
This looks to be a good little chunk of clean air he's found himself. 4.5 seconds up to Ben Brook, who came in on lap 5, so he will for sure need to pit twice more to get home, Hutto, you would assume. So De Bono should be able to get past him quite easily, but it depends how long he can, or how long it is until he actually breaks down this gap of 4.8 seconds up to Brook.
And in saying that, if the drivers have just pitted now at the 30-minute mark or 29-minute mark, yeah, tank's going to last them about 25 minutes. Oh, safety car has been called.
Ooh, who has caused the safety car? I think
who's not moving?
It's not Josh King. It's not Gerard. Oh, it's Cowie. So what has Cowie done to cause the safety car? And this is in quite a dangerous position. So what's happened to Cowie down here? He had Sinise in behind him. Oh, that looked to be some contact. Oh no, that wasn't Sinise. That was Dean Sinkovic. So after a week off, he's made contact with Cowie. Whether that was anyone's fault, I'm not sure. We'll let race control decide. But Cowie is unfortunately parked up on the side of the road. Needs a tow. He's been given it. And Davison has managed to come through the pit lane on lap 17. Back out in the lead, but that gap is now going to be minuscule. The beauty of it is Jay Dixon separates David Gallo and Danny Davidson for P2 on the road.
And that definitely plays into Dylan De Bono's hands, taking that, I guess, all the drivers will be coming in now, and it's really turned into a sprint towards the finish. I guess it really nullifies any sort of strategy. So the drivers should be able to get home on a full tank from here. I wouldn't be surprised if someone goes in at the end of the safety car if they're not really a fuel saver. But yeah, if they can stretch this tank out to 30 minutes, it really just becomes a sprint back towards the finish, Hamish.
So now, but the question marks then go over the top of the head of drivers who came in prior to lap 17 or 16. So Jay Dixon, who came in on lap 5, we doubt he can get home from this point. Same with Matt, same with Andrew Cowan, who just had to tow back to pit lane, so obviously he'll get a pit stop done in this. Everyone else other than Brandon Levin have taken pit stops, and Levin has actually put it on the side of the road. I believe he's actually out of fuel, Hutto, because he hasn't pitted at this point in the race.
That's not something you see all too often. A driver running out of fuel mid-race, normally set towards the end.
Yeah, at the end where they try and push it to get home.
But yeah, I think unfortunately for Jay Dixon, he's going to be the big loser in this one. Having pitted early, and then he's going to have to come in, and unless another safety car happens that he can build a gap somehow, he's going to be probably another 15 positions behind where he is right now, Hamish.
So the perfect scenario now for Dylan De Bono is he's right on the tail of Daniel Byrne, and he just has to try and keep it clean and finish near him on track, realistically. I mean, coming into this round, if I quickly pull up the standings myself, De Bono does lead by 20 or more than 21 points after drop rounds. Actually, it's 25 points after drop rounds.
Yes, so it's still quite tight to be about 6 positions.
Yeah,
really, that have to be separated by.
So finishing right behind Daniel is not such a poor thing. It drops the gap down to 21 points, leading into the final round, which is 7 positions. No, it's not 7. It's by 4. 5 positions.
Be another 6 positions. Yeah. So. Look, it's almost like damage limitation, right? As long as you finish close to or not too far off your opponents, then you just keep them at bay. You keep them at arm's length. You don't have to go out and chase P1 each week. You can finish in the top 5 and still be well within a chance in the final round. So look, I think De Bono, having learnt from previous mistakes throughout the season, and probably his teammates be in his ear, just trying to keep his composure and get the result that they need tonight.
I'm just responding to a comment from Andrew Rushworth in the chat. So he's referenced a driver in the vets whose name is Adrian Zeal, but his nickname is Zippy. So I've just said I believe that Brandon has done that, and then I mentioned that he might need 11, because his last name's 11, jerry cans to help him get home next time.
Time to sack the crew chief by Steph Piccoli on the chat as well. Yeah, don't know who made that call to stay out. Perhaps Ferrari's infiltrating SRW, Hamish.
Quite possibly. I wonder if Brandon told them. I wonder if he told his crew chief to tell Jamie to not pass him in Spanish.
Perhaps.
Oh, nice little F1 deep cut for everyone at home who paid attention to the F1 Grand Prix this past weekend. But Dylan De Bono, the work is now for him to do in this race. The pressure, though, is on Daniel Byrne. He has to get it further and further away from De Bono, being 25 points ahead of him in the championship standings at this stage. Right now, he is not giving up, or he's only gaining 4 points over De Bono. It's keeping the positions that he'd need to beat De Bono by next week at 6. So realistically, he's gaining 1 spot to gain 1 spot on the total amount that he needs next week in the final round, Hutto, to beat him for the title.
Yeah, it's still very tight, and there's another 60-minute race to happen next week. So, look, the guys will be doing their due diligence, getting through the motions, and taking whatever points they can this week. And I think next week it'll be gloves off, and the drivers will be at it, Hamish.
Mr. Martin's just giving us an update on Nick. Said he was in the pit just as the safety car came out. He's gone around again and put tyres on. That is a great play from Nick Martin. Fair play to him, because he wouldn't have done it in the first stop. But now that we've had a safety car, he knew that he would have time to come around, put the tyres on and not give up too many positions. He could be one to watch throughout the rest of this race, Hutto, for some positions gained, because he's on the fresh rubber. He'll have some good grip as we're underway once again with Davison leading him around the final corner. So keep an eye on Nick Martin. He could find himself inside the top 20 by the crescendo of this race when it ends, as Matt Keane is in the pit lane once again. So Keane is trying to make it as he had it on a silver platter tonight for the Pro-Am title. He is really making it as hard as possible for himself by having to come in at this point of the race.
I wonder if the man enjoys the challenge. I guess Nathan Verney won't be too upset with that decision by Keane. Keane just stopping for a short amount of fuel. That's just gone around.
That's Kevin Wakefield.
Kevin Wakefield.
And Cam Hardwick as well. So Cam has had a couple of off tracks tonight. Drivers had to take avoiding action to get out of their way. This is what happened up at turn 1. So as Wakefield had a self-spin. Oh no, so Cam had a self-spin and the rear actually made contact with Kevin. So that might look poorly on Cam as a loss of control incident responsibility, possibly by race control.
Yeah, I guess we'll leave race control to decipher that one. As I just jump on board with, funnily enough, our 3 title contenders in P4, 5, 6, Dylan De Bono, David Gallo and Daniel Byrne. So the Carlins boys will surely be trying to put as much pressure on Gallo right now so they can, I guess, better their chances for this championship, Hamish.
Well, one thing I've just realised as I cut to them is De Bono's made his way past both Byrne and Gallo. So now De Bono is all gain on both Gallo and Byrne in the championship standings for this race. So this here is big championship implications. If we were to finish at this point, the gap would move up to 29 points, and it would mean that David Gallo would need 8 positions. It'd be 8 positions he'd need to finish ahead of Dylan De Bono next week at Daytona.
Yeah, so if Dylan can get if the results stay as they are, all the pressure would be on the Carlins Motorsport guys to go out and try and beat Dylan next week. But in saying that, I think the clouds will still be, hovering over the top of Dylan, and there'll be a lot of pressure going into next week on Dylan, Hamish.
Yeah, the pressure will be on him, but there'll also be equally as much pressure on Daniel Byrne. It depends how hungry he is to win the title. I have a feeling, Hutto, at this point, Dylan De Bono is more hungry for the championship than what Daniel Byrne is. Byrne's just there for the ride. He's there for the vibes, and he's there to enjoy himself.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, just listen to race control and another further action call. But yes, like we've seen, Dylan just came out of the blocks from race 1. He stamped his authority and he won the first 3 rounds, I think it was, Hamish. He just absolutely dominated. Then he had a bit of a lull in the middle there and allowed the rest of the pack to kind of catch up. Ooh, it was De Bono gets a little bit shaky there on the final corner, and Gallo looking to make a move into turn 1. But yeah, it's really DeBono's been the standout driver this season. I wonder if Cullen's going to try and pick his pocket and get two for one now, Hamish.
They quite possibly could. Battles on between them into turn 2. DeBono trying to slot in between them. Burns trying to not allow him to do that, but luckily for him, he has backup in this battle. Sam Katakazinos is now rubber banded into it, so it's a 2v2 of VSL versus Carlins. If Katakazinos can get hot on the tail of Daniel Byrne, he can put pressure on him, and if he can get past him, it puts even more pressure on him at this point in the race as well. I was just keeping an eye on where Matt Keane is in comparison to Nathan Verney as Katakazinos sends it up the inside of Byrne. DeBono's gone round. Gallo's made contact. He's lost the rear wing. This could be chaos and controversy all over again. We look back and think to when we were in Spain at the end of season 2 when DeBono made contact with Byrne and he can't get it back to the pits because he needs that rear wing to keep the rear end stable, Hutto.
No, that is that's very unfortunate and unsure, and race control will have to divulge that one and pick apart what has just happened. And just like that, the championship's been turned on its head, Hamish.
It has indeed completely turned on its head. So here was Gallo. DeBono up his inside. Oh, okay. So looking at that from that angle, it looks like it would be self-penalising from Dylan DeBono because he's run wide into the path of David Gallo. Oh, I don't know. That is, I mean, it's a heart-wrenching moment to go a full season and now think that we could go into next week with Daniel Byrne leading the championship with an almost unsurmountable amount of points over Dylan DeBono, who arguably, Hutto, nothing against Daniel, but Dylan has arguably been the driver of the season thus far.
He like we said just before, he's been an absolute standout. He came firing out of the blocks, and just little moments and a bit of misfortune towards the middle of the season has really, I guess, tightened up this championship, because we could have seen Dylan really run away. Would have been our guess after the first 4 rounds, but you know, as it happens, Lady Luck sometimes decides the winner, and now we're set up for an absolute treat next week, Hamish.
We are indeed. So one thing I was going to mention before was Matt Keane in comparison to Nathan Verney. You mentioned that Verney would have to win this week and next week and have Keane finish plumb last for him to win the title. At the moment, Matt Keane, why has it just done that to me on Matt Keane? He's just... Okay, what have you done to me, iRacing? Oh, that's why. It's dropped you to packet loss, so we love that, Hutto. We absolutely love that. So we're going to keep your one on screen for a second while I reload this up. I'm just going to quickly do some editing of this, just so then it can be a smooth transition. But we'll leave your one up for the moment. Yep, of course, it threw me out. Thank you so much. But yeah, I mean, it's throwing the championship on the head. So at the moment, at least before I was thrown out of the session, Matt Keane is within 15 spots of Nathan Verney. That would be enough for him to win the title here tonight.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, simple mathematics. Keane's been the absolute standout in the Pro-Am Championship, along with his sparring partner, Peter Zeidler. Both those drivers have been, I guess, a cut above the rest of the Pro-Am drivers, and Keane's been able to, you know, put in the laps and get the results as is required, and he has quite a large lead, and it should be quite a comfortable drive for him next week. You know, we want to just relax and celebrate his efforts for the season, Hamish.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an incredible run for him this season thus far. I am just about to reload into the session. So we'll get both screens back up and running momentarily, don't worry. But yeah, I mean, Keane's been the driver of the season thus far for the Pro-Am side of things, definitely. I mean, Zeidler's been there or thereabouts, but the gap that he had coming into the last 2 weeks, it just proves that Matt has been the better driver this season, realistically. Yeah,
Matt has just been the driver. And, I guess he's coming back from a few, I guess, not off-track sort of things been happening in the background with Matt. And it's good to see him back out on track. He's, found his mojo here at the SFLs and, reaping the rewards, Hamish. And I guess one thing to talk about in terms of championships, not only are we looking at the pros, the Pro-Ams and the AMs, but we've also got the Australian Open Wheel Nationals commencing in 2 weeks, Hamish. So even the the battle for that one's actually getting quite tight as well. So just running through, I guess, drives from about 16th position. Well, we've got Benjamin Brooke, Tyler Sheaf, Julius Anise, Shane Ratcliffe, and Callum Roseneder currently inside the 20. And only 140 or 140.
Drop out though, remember.
He will this week after the drop. So look, there's about 150 point gap between 16th and 20th. So drivers for the likes of Tyson McAvoy, Keegan Caldwell, Matt Tesoriero, and Kevin Wakefield will have to be making up some sizable points this week. With Shane Ratcliffe being out in round 8, we might see a few drivers move up. I haven't seen Tyson McAvoy.
Yeah, McAvoy's not here this week, so he would also get crossed out of that scenario as well.
So Keegan's going to be the big winner out of those drivers just mentioned, and probably Tesoriero finding themselves into the top 20. And I guess next week being, this is the last of the drop rounds, Hamish, and next week being the final round. So it'll be all to drive for, as the Australian Open Wheel Nationals was a fantastic event last season, and we very much look forward to the next edition, Hamish.
Yeah, I do as well. The drawing of the track is happening apparently this weekend. We'll know of the track by next week. Everyone will know of the track the week before the event. So by next Wednesday, everyone should know what track it is, where they're racing, and where they need to practice for the week before the AOWN happens. We know what tracks are on the rotation, what would go on the wheel. We can only reveal that is definitely not Silverstone, because they ran it last time.
We raced that.
And they agreed not to run it again after just running it last time. But there are some quite good choices on that list. I do believe, though, they have left a couple of them on the wheel from what was on there last time, and I believe they've added one to replace Silverstone at this point.
Well, that's good to see. So what those tracks were last time, I think Jerez was one of those tracks. And I guess us racing that this week's probably not going to see the re-inclusion of Jerez again, Hamish. And I imagine any track that we've run in the last, say, 3 to 4 weeks, or even the final 3 to 4 weeks, we can probably put a line through those ones as well. So, look, there'll be no Daytona. That was definitely not going to be there. Jerez, well, that's probably out the window now. Last week, Watkins Glen, absolutely not. We won't be going there. And the week before that was VIR. So, those 4 tracks probably off the list. So if those playing Australian Open Wheel Nationals guessing game, you can scrub those ones out now. I guess it begs to differ. I'm just guessing now what tracks could be there. I'd love to see perhaps Catalunya. I quite like that track. Spa is another one as well that's a bit of a fan favourite. Will it be there? Unsure. It's quite a long track as well, and can lead itself to not some boring racing if it really does open up as well, Hamish.
I think the problem with Spa is it's a good track to drive, it's a bad track to watch racing at.
Yeah, it does. Because it's quite long and open.
It's much better in the cockpit than from outside of the car, for sure. And it's the same with Nürburgring. Nürburgring is horrible for watching racing, but it's great to race at. I mean,
Hockenheim's not too bad a track. I wonder if that would make the short list.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, I know what was on there last time. Ideally, the track I would want is not on there, which is Montreal, because I love chaos. But I actually think it just creates great racing as well, and it would really just throw a spanner in the works. It would mean anyone could possibly win.
Oh, jeez, that was close with Ray Oliver and Sam Kettikas. Oh, I hadn't news that. Tessoriero's just
Tessoriero, yep. Nowhere to go and into the back of Ray Oliver. So yeah, I mean, personally for me, I put a track forward last time. If anyone paid attention to what the wheel spin was, I put forward Mugello. It's my top end of town pick at the moment.
That's a very good track as well, yeah.
I would love Portimao, but I think Mugello is the better choice for the racing it can provide us with. It gives us a good mixture of possibilities of safety cars, but also some phenomenal battles as well. Andrew Rushworth, you are the only person who will ask for Magny Core. I will promise you that right now.
I'm not going to lie, I don't mind Magny Core either, except...
I think Magny Core is similar to Spa. Magny Core is nice to drive, I don't think it creates the best racing to watch all the time.
Perhaps.
I said that about VIR, and VIR threw out some great racing for us this season, so I was wrong about that. But
yeah, that was spectacular. But yeah, I guess there are so many tracks on this service which we could, I guess, poke and pick and choose and divulge through. And unfortunately, the admins for the AOWN have got the tough task of trying to narrow that down to just 4 tracks. So, look, it's no easy feat trying to go from 36 odd contenders down to 4.
Jace just said Bathurst. Jace, if we can't have Montreal, we can't have Bathurst. And especially after the last time we raced at Bathurst, where we had 4 safety cars in half an hour, it's never going to happen.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah,
4 safety cars.
Yeah, it'll never happen.
Yeah, Phillip Island's a fantastic track. I guess it lends itself to that some tight racing every time we've been there in either the SFL or the Delara F3. So yeah, that one might be there as well.
I would like Phillip Island, especially if it's not penciled in for season 1 of next year. If it's currently not, it was in season 1 of this year, but if it's not penciled in for season 1 of next year, I would like Phillip Island. I think that'd be good racing as well. I understand the thought process of we don't want to do street circuits because it kills cars. So I understand why we wouldn't go to Chicago, Detroit, Montreal, Long Beach, stuff like that. I understand why. I think Montreal will still be fantastic, but we're not going to go there. That's okay. Aside from that, proper Grand Prix circuits is what you want, Hutto. You want proper Grand Prix circuits. You want a Phillip Island, a Mugello, a Portimao, something like that. Something nice and flowy, which has some good opportunities for battles, but also opportunities for drivers to make mistakes, which can cause chaos, controversy, and carnage, which we love.
I think I'd also like to see a track that's got a lot of runoff as well, Hamish. Yeah. And as we saw, the race directors were, I guess, hesitant. Well, not hesitant to bring the the safety car out, but I guess less likely. They want to see the race continue and get the drivers.
Which I think is another good argument for Mugello or Portimao, because there is some good runoff at those tracks. And 9 times out of 10, safety cars are made to happen there whenever cars make contact on track or they end up on their intake. That's normally when the safety car gets called. It's not normally when a car's parked off the road.
Yeah, I'm just watching some of the moves that are getting done late now, Hamish. I think I was on board just before with Dougie Gowan's made a double overtake into one of the corners, and your friend in Jack Mickelson got 2 drivers and 2 corners, so a bit of fantastic racing still happening out there, Hamish.
Mr. Martin Sr. saying the Bend Motorsport Park will be good when it comes on iRacing. I agree. I think the Bend will be great. They have scanned it. It is coming. I look forward to it. I have just noticed, Hutto, Dylan DeBono is back in the pit lane, and you have a feeling
he's probably just going to park it up.
Yeah, he may have just conceded the championship doing that, unfortunately, which is a shame because, for my money, nothing against Daniel Byrne. Daniel's an incredible driver. The best driver of this season has been Dylan DeBono, no doubt. I think he's probably been the most deserving driver to win the title.
But, Joe Dixon and Mitch Noble coming together.
Wow.
That he'll probably get a quick lift back to the pit lane. Yeah, I can't see a safety car coming out. It's 8 minutes to go. Yeah.
Yep, I can't see that happening either, Hutto. But he's still waiting there for it. But Davison leads 13.4 seconds over Daniel Byrne, so it looks to be Danny Davidson's win on hand. Daniel Byrne is about to take one massive chunk out of Dylan DeBono's lead in the championship. In fact, Daniel will take the lead of the championship if he were to finish in P2. He is currently 32 positions ahead of Dylan DeBono on the road. He will be gaining over 120 points on that lead, which means he will go 100 points into the lead of this championship tonight, Hutto.
Yeah, that's a handy lead to take into the final round, and I guess there'll be a bit of dancing mathematics with the drop round, and it's not quite 4. It is 4 points all the way down to P31, where it drops to 3 points. So what, P32?
P34.
P34. It's actually 51 points. DeBono will accrue tonight, so essentially 130 points swing. Detrimental enough to determine a championship, possibly. I guess it's not really the way we want to see it, Hamish. I was hoping for a 3-horse race in the final round, but yeah, it may turn out just to be a Carlin's one too.
We've gone into the championship, or the championship round of every season, with at least 2 or 3 cars in it, within a handful of points. This will be the first season we've gone into with the pros at least, where someone is over, I want to say, 50 points ahead of their nearest rival in the championship.
Well, in saying that, last season I think there was, 5 drivers that were all mathematically a chance of winning the championship. One was a little far away, but the top 4 were within, I think, 50 points, which is incredible, Hamish. Like, absolutely, just to think that 1 of 4 drivers could have clinched it on the final day, yeah, bonkers.
Absolutely bonkers. At this stage as well, David Gallo finds himself P21. If he were to finish there, he will win and become the second ever F1 Shadow Series champion of the history in SRW for the 2024 season as well. Where Matt Keane is in P18, that is well and truly good enough at the moment to win the Pro-Am Championship, as he is also ahead of Nathan Verney as well. So both those titles look to be wrapped up tonight. Keegan Caldwell, P8 on the road. Kevin Wakefield has just come back into pit lane. He was in P28. He will now drop at least 1 position. So that'll be P29. So that's what? 21 positions. So that is a...
Oh, about 80 points.
Oh, no, Keegan's just come in.
Yeah.
Sorry, Keegan's just come into pit lane, as is Katakazinas and Depp. So they haven't fuel saved enough to get home, Hutto.
Well, this is interesting. Might throw a few mixed results into the race as we come to the final 5 minutes of the race, Hamish.
This could...
We did say a tank will only last 25 minutes.
Yeah, so this is now really putting some pressure on some drivers. I mean, Davison's at the front of the field. Has he been fuel saving? He's been building a gap over Daniel Byrne. If Byrne has been saving, this could be the win for him. Cam Hardwick has just had an incident on the road. Self-spin, probably numero 10 for him at this stage. He's had quite a few in this race, unfortunately, for Cam. He's kept it going, though. Michelson now finds himself inside the top 10, as well as Adrian Loretti. Tyler Sheaf could be on for a Pro-Am win here tonight, Hutto, if he's able to keep this clean. Caldwell still finds himself at the lead of the AMs at this stage. Davison, Pocock and Burney, your top 3 on the road.
And I guess, yeah, now just checking the... Oh, Danny Davison's in the pits. Now, Ozzy, no.
He spun it on the pit.
Oh, he spun. Just looking at the timing tower. So, it looks like the lap 17 drivers are going to have to come in. So, I wonder
that
if
might be an unsafe pit entry. He might get a stop hold.
Oh, that'll be a kick in the guts, but be interesting to see if Dougie has to now come in. He also pitted on lap 17. He stays out. He'll go around again with 4 minutes remaining. And who else is on the pit on the lap 17 strategy? Thomas Donahoe, the next driver, also pitted on lap 17. Mind you, all the other drivers pitted on lap 18. So it's really going to be touch and go here, Hamish. Donahoe's in.
Okay, so there was no stop hold for Davison. He came out lucky with that one for him.
Well,
but Donahoe did a bit of in.
Yeah, Donahoe had to hit the skids and get it turned around to get into the pit. A lot of drivers getting caught out by this fuel strap tonight, Hamish.
They are indeed, and you look at anyone on the road who could probably save to get home, you think of Daniel Byrne, Doug Gowans, or even maybe a Scotty Pocock. Does he take his second win in SRW?
Possibly, if he's been able to do the fuel saving correctly. And look, it's going to be a long 3 minutes for most of these drivers, Hamish. If the lap 17 drivers are coming in now, lap 18 drivers you think must be a lap or 2 away, and what's it, a minute and a half around the track. It's going to be tight, Hamish. There might be a few drivers coughing over the line.
This is going to be very, very tight. The driver they're going to have to look at who could sneak on the podium is Jack Michelson. He came in on lap 19. You'd have to assume he can get home on his fuel, Hutto, if he's been saving.
It's too close to call. We'll have to, I guess, ride on board and listen in to see who's doing all the fuel saving at the moment. I'll just get online with Pocock stays out, so he stays out again.
Yep.
Byrne much the same. Dougie Gowans is in.
Davis has stayed out.
I think we're going to see a lot of there might be, they cross now at, just shy of 58. They'd have to run a 2-minute lap, Hamish, to not have to do another lap. So I think we're going to see a lot of last lap dashes, Hamish.
Yeah, this is going to be incredibly, incredibly close for these drivers. Pocock leads the way.
Jack Michelson might be on here.
He could be. I reckon he makes it home. I think he makes it home on his fuel. So Michelson could be on.
Davison could really profit as well.
Oh, yeah. Davis has just crashed as well, so he's going slow. He had a spin. So this could now hurt Jamie Davis's fuel burn as well. So the eyes have to be kept on Jack Michelson. He could be on fresh tyres for his first podium here in SRW if he can keep it together. He's inside the top 5 for the first time as well if he finishes this off.
Yeah, I guess all eyes will be on Scotty Pocock, Daniel Byrne and Jamie Davis to see if they can now make it home on whatever's left inside that tank.
Nick Martin is saving fuel like an absolute mad lad inside the top 15 at this stage. Remember, he took fresh tyres under the safety car on lap 18. Would have been smart play if he took fuel on that stop as well, Hutto, just get the extra lap in.
Yeah, possibly, and the ball's really in the court of Danny Davison right now, but all eyes will be on the front two of Pocock and Byrne to see if who goes first. Byrne's in.
Byrne's in. Okay, so Pocock is pushing one more lap at the front of the field. This is going to be as tight as ever. Davis has had to come in as well. If Michelson stays out, he'll be on the podium for the first time here in SRW. He's in. He's had to come in. Fair enough. What about Loretti and Sheaf? Loretti stays out. So this is going to be a podium for Loretti. Sheaf also stays out. This could find him inside the top 5. It's the final lap of the race. Byrne and Davis are exiting pit lane. Loretti is just coming up the hill. It's going to be as tight as ever. He goes past Daniel Byrne on the exit. So Pocock, if he can save fuel for this lap, Hutto, he will get his second ever win in SRW, and a miraculous one at that.
Well, he's got a handy 3.5 second lead back to Davison, and Davis will be hoping like hell he just runs out of fuel at any moment. And just listening in on Pocock's engine, he's really trying to fuel save. So it's it's going to be tight, but I don't think it's going to be enough right now, Hamish.
So. I don't think so. He has to gain 3.5 seconds nearly to get past Pocock. Plus, there's lap traffic in between them. He'll hope that they just pull over for him and let him go. Pocock is saving like it's nobody's business in towards the final sector of this Jerez circuit. It's
Four corners
maximum
left
pressure
for Pocock.
for him. Sheafy's come out still in the lead of the Pro-Ams just to keep you updated. Here comes Pocock, final corner.
He's fuel saving into the final corner.
He has to. He just has to try and get the drive off the final corner up to the start-finish line. Scott Pocock, coughing, sneezing, his way across the line, takes his second win with barely a sniff in it in the fuel tank. Danny Davison P2. Adrian Loretti is going to come home. No, he's P4. He had to save. Byrne got past him. Daniel Byrne got it on the podium with a pit stop in the end of it. Caldwell's had a crash in the background. So now Byrne comes home on the podium. Tyler Sheaf, maximum fuel save. He's got Benici hot on his heels.
Is Benici going to get him?
Is he going to get him on the line, Hutto? It's a drag race. He's run out. Benici's going to come past and take the Pro-Am win.
What a win!
What a win for Sean Benici. Michelson gets himself inside the top 10. Sheaf as well. Keegan Caldwell and Timothy Schmalenberg, as I think Sheafy may have just cracked it at himself there. He put it into the wall. Caldwell comes across the line just ahead of Nick Schmalenberg for P16. Matty Keane finishing in P12 and running out of fuel, it seems, has solidified himself as the 2024 Season 4 Provisional Pro-Am Champion. And David Gallo, who's just come into pit lane, P19, is your 2024 Provisional F1 Shadow Series Champion as well, Hutto.
Wow, what a finish there, Hamish. Wasn't expecting that one. I guess at the half-hour mark, we kind of toyed on the fact that it might not be enough. But, yeah, some drivers getting the job done, and what a fantastic finish that race, Hamish.
I wonder who the fuel supplier is for some of these teams that are just saving get home.
Oh, who knows? Maybe there's a spare jerry can in the back, or like a little pouch there, tipping the extra little bit in, or who knows?
Quite possibly, but what a race we've just seen! A battle of fuel strategy of monumental proportions. Next week at Daytona, it's going to be a little bit easier to save. I think we can agree, Hutto. Daytona is one of the easiest tracks you can save fuel at because of the slipstream, because of the tow, and because of some of the faster-paced corners. This was one of the wildest ends to a race we've ever seen, with massive championship implications. 2 of our 4 championships are now locked down. David Gallo's won the F1 Shadow Series. Matt Keane has won the Pro-Am Championship at this stage. The AM title swings back the way of Keegan Caldwell, and the pro title massively swings back the way of Daniel Byrne after pure heartbreak from a small mistake from Dylan DeBono, that could cost him this championship. And it feels, unfortunately, apropos after seasons have passed, Hutto.
It'll be heartbreak. I would hate to be in Dylan's seat or head right now. He's definitely tried, and he just hasn't quite clinched the result. Look, we've seen very crazy things happen on the final race, Hamish. We saw 3 drivers, or even 2 drivers going for the championship, and then the third driver in Dave Roberts clinching a title. So, look, I'm not calling anything yet, but it's going to be a mammoth effort for DeBono to, pick this one up next week, Hamish.
It'll be a storyline moment for him if he can pull that off next week out at Daytona for the final round of the season, the final round of the F1 Shadow Series as well. We know you ran out of fuel, Sheafy. We know you ran out of fuel. We called it right to the end. So we're awaiting, and I might just quickly message Race Control and just ask if they can send Matty Keane our way. And do we also want Mr. Gallo as well?
I think we should, congratulate the champion, for winning the season. Maybe get him his own car and stick the other podium guys in one car, perhaps, Hamish.
Yeah.
Well, I was just waiting for the drivers to get through to the...
So we've got Scotty Pocock in the green room already as well.
So I was just listening into Race Control. The finish for the AMS was actually under review. 663 calling in a potential incident with 399.
Yeah,
399.
I saw them.
In Keegan Caldwell.
Going back and forth. So now the
but it looks.
If that goes, I mean, we don't know the details of the incident as well, Hutto. What if there's?
It looks like a warning. A warning's just been handed out.
Okay.
Yeah, warning just got handed out to Caldwell. So I think the result will stand, and Keegan is our AM winner for tonight, Hamish.
Yeah, we'll start by having a quick chat to him in just a moment's time. I have requested for them to send us David Gallo and Matt Keane, so we can chat to them about their titles that they've now confirmed for themselves. We'll talk to them both at the end. I'll have a quick chat to Mr. Caldwell, though. Mr. Caldwell, another AM win on your belt after a week off last week. You had to push hard to get this one done. A little bit of controversy on the end of the race, but another win under your belt and a good solid chunk of points ahead of your championship rival in Kevin Wakefield, where next week you got a pretty easy run. You've pretty much just got to try and make the checkered flag and you'll win this title.
Yeah. I was struggling for fuel at the end. Like I kept saying to the boys, I reckon I'm not going to make it for the last couple of laps. So I do a quick top up, and the last couple of laps, I was struggling. Arsene was everywhere that I had a self spin through the S's. I did impede. I think it was Nicholas Schalenberg. I was hoping I wasn't going to get a penalty, but I think I got a NFA for that. But yeah, it was actually a tough race tonight, and I'm shaking.
Well, congratulations, Keegan, on the win. One week out to gather your thoughts, and I guess following a not so desirable result at VIR. What was the game plan going in tonight, seeing as your championship lead was diminishing over the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, tonight race, everyone in the VSL were just saying, don't battle against anyone in the higher positions like the pros and the pro-ams. Just fight any AM driver or Kevin. Kevin was probably my person to beat. I had Cam Hardwick for the whole race calling out any spins, any incidents that I was in, what positions, and it was hard.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. How was the conditions out on track? A lot of cars spinning, and how was it trying to overtake out on track tonight, Keegan?
I would say overtake was quite difficult. There was a few where I reckon I could have did a late dive into the corner, but a couple of people were locking up, overrunning, so I just said, no, I'm just going to sit back and pick me fights, and hopefully, well, it did, but come out with the win.
Fantastic. And like you touched on, fuel strategy kind of almost bit you in the bum towards the end there. Was that something that was going through the team's mind when everyone was pitting around the half-hour mark? Was anyone privy to the fact that they might run out?
No, we were actually quite worried at the close to the end. I didn't take much notice of my fuel tonight. Yeah, we were all quite worried, but eventually I just did that little top-up and it got me home. I kind of wanted to try and finish in the top 10. I was doing a couple bit of fuel saving, but ended up not being enough.
Yeah, and I guess last one from me. I guess you've got a championship to worry about next week and consolidate that one. You are, I guess, the hot favourite for that one at the moment. Have you been keeping one eye on the Australian Open Wheel Nationals? I think you're just outside the top 20, but with drivers missing out a week, I think you'll slip into the top 20 now. Has that been on your radar at all this season?
Halfway through the season, where I was top of the AMs for race after race, it was at the top of my mind, more than winning the championship, because I wanted to try and get in. But since the last 2 weeks where I wasn't performing at my best, I wasn't scoring enough, and I started declining in points, I think my mind changed just to go to just winning the AM championship. But once the points get updated, if I'm close enough, I'll try and fight it next week.
Well, Keegan, thank you so much for coming and have a quick chat to us tonight. Best of luck next week at Daytona, where you look to solidify your first AMS championship here in SRW. Let us know, help us get you and Velocity Sim Labs out on circuit. Anyone else you wish to give a shout out to as well, for myself and Hutto and the rest of the league. Congratulations on another class win here tonight at Jerez.
Thank you. Yeah, I got to put it up to the VSL boys for allowing me to be part of the team. Since I've been here, I've always wanted to join a fairly large team. Cam, Dylan, Doug, everyone there gave me the chance, and I reckon I'm going to stay there for the future. I'm going to butcher this pronunciation. Hikoki Power Tools, I believe I said that right. Here to Race YouTube channel. Everyone that puts on those races I think you don't get enough appreciation week in, week out, putting on these awesome broadcasts. And go check out the Velocity Sim Facebook and everything.
Well, mate, thank you so much once again. Best of luck next week at Daytona. We look forward to seeing how you go, and best of luck in getting yourself into the AOWN the week after as well.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have our resident American here in the SFLs. I think this is his first class win, is it not, Hutto, for a feature
I think
race?
it is. We haven't really had him in the green room before. Yeah, fantastic.
Well, let's drag him in and have a quick chat to him. Mr. Benici, your first class win here in SFLs for the Pro-Ams, and a top 10 to boot as well. After coming into pit lane with damage early in the race, you managed to fight your way back up towards the top 10. How was that race for you?
Very interesting. I was expecting it to be over after the damage at the start. Pitting 5 laps for everybody else was not ideal.
Yeah, congratulations, Sean. I think we were on board watching those final moments of the race. Yeah, just take us through what was going through your mind around that final corner.
I really was not even paying attention to who was ahead of me. I was worried about Keane behind me, because I know he's leading the championship, and I just didn't want to muck up his race. And then I look up, and it was Sheafy in front of me. I'm like, oh boy, here we go, and that was it.
Yeah, fantastic. And I guess we've seen you, I guess, miss a few weeks here and there, and you haven't quite been in and around. But yeah, how's it been? I guess, or trying to find some rhythm, having missed a few weeks here and there. How do you, I guess, pull a result like this out?
Luck. I do part time. I also race another league last night doing SFL, so I get familiar with the car, but due to my work schedule, racing tonight is hit and miss. I was just fortunate enough to get off work at a decent time tonight, so I was able to jump in. This track, it's not a bad track, especially in this car. I did a bunch of practice a couple weeks ago in it, and it felt pretty good. So tonight was just a matter of not crashing it and looping it in some of these corners where unfortunately a lot of other people did.
Yeah, fantastic. And I guess what was your goal coming into, I guess, the start of this season? I guess, like you said, you're part-time. Was just, familiarity with the car, or just getting a bit of league racing under your belt? What was the main goal for you, Sean?
The main goal is to get comfortable in these cars. I don't race them other than just for SRW league race, and then also GSRC. I also do their SFL racing just to get extra seat time in the car, because I mainly race GT3, so it's quite a bit different, and it's taken a little bit to get my head around, and that's about my practice for a week is those 2 league races. I just, with 2 little babies, it's hard to get practice time in.
Well, Sean, so just give us a bit of background about you, because we haven't really had a chance to talk to you. Are you still based out of the US, or are you based in Australia now?
I'm in Alaska, US.
Okay. All right, so sun pretty much all year round for you.
No, it's about 6 months of the year I get a lot of sun, and 6 months I get a lot of dark. In the winter time, sunrise is at like 10 a.m. and sunsets at like 4 p.m.
Yeah.
And then in the summertime, in the midsummer, June-ish, sun comes up at about 2:30, 3 o'clock a.m. and then it sets at 1 a.m. So you get a 2 hours of dusk in the summertime, but it's not really dark.
I'm sure blackout blinds will be your best friend.
Got them in every room.
Yeah, of course. Well, congratulations on taking your win here tonight. You're not the only American we have in SRW. We also have Stacey Boyd, of course, who's based on the other end of the US. It's good to see that the old 200 ping has worked out for you in this scenario and gotten you a win. But
yeah,
congratulations on taking that win. Let us know how helps get you and Frog Leap Juice Racing out on track. Anyone else you wish to give a shout out to as well? For myself, Hutto, and the rest of the league, congratulations on your first class win here in the SRW Cooler Master Super Formula Championship.
Thank you. First and foremost, Frog Leap, they my team, and then Juiced Energy, Racecraft, Sudspeed, Hor, and that's about it. And my wife for allowing me to race as much as I do.
Well, Sean, best of luck next week at Daytona if you're out on track with us once again. If you're not, though, best of luck the next time we see you on track here in SRW.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, Hutto, do you think we should go straight to our Pro-Am champion of Season 4? Do you reckon we let him sweat it out for a bit?
Oh, who else we got in the room? Yeah, bring him in. We'll just keep working our way up.
Yeah, we'll chip away at it. We've got 5 more people to run through, so we'll try and get through this as quickly as possible. Mr. Matty Keane, you are now officially the 2024 Season 4 Pro-Am champion. Did everything you needed to get it done here tonight. But after getting it given to you on a silver platter, it almost looked like you were trying to make it as hard as possible by taking 6 pit stops throughout this race.
Hey Hamish, hey Hutto. Yeah, I got very unfortunate with a major netcode with Dougie, and boy did that make tonight really, really difficult and frustrating.
Yeah, I guess congratulations, Matt. Probably not the result you may have hoped for tonight, but look, you've managed to accrue enough points over the course of the season, and now you're our champion. I guess, yeah. How does that feel?
I'm really happy with that part. It's not the way I wanted to win it with Ziedler, like having to sit this round out, but unfortunately, when you play silly games, you win silly prizes. But look, it was an eye opener tonight, having to come through the field after the third lap. That was a completely different aspect that I haven't had to deal with this season. So it was interesting. I can see why there's a lot of pressure with race control in these sorts of races, unfortunately. But look, I recovered back to P12 overall. It's a half decent result. The 6 pit stops sort of helped me there. I knew with the safety cars we couldn't save enough fuel. There's just too much throttle around this track to try and do it on one stop. So get as much little bits of fuel here and there, make my final stop shorter, and try and go as long as I could to get as many back as possible that had to pit for the splash at the end. The clean air helped too.
Very good. And I guess the pressure's off. What's the focus of next week? Do you just go out there and have a bit of fun and, I guess, bit of preparation for the Australian Open Wheel Nationals if you can?
Next week, I think the focus is trying to sneak a overall podium now. With Gallows and De Bono's poor result tonight, I may be able to just be an outside chance to maybe sneak a little one over the pros.
Well, Matty, how does it feel to finally get this done for yourself? I mean, we mentioned you were kind of a class above the whole season against a lot of drivers out there. Even with the point steps that you had over Pete coming in tonight, even without his round ban, it would have been a very difficult task for him to surpass you in this championship hunt. But you got it done. You got yourself inside the top 15. So how does it feel to finally have that pressure taken off you, and now you can just focus next week on trying to get a good finish and get yourself, or solidify yourself, which I think you already have, in the AWN? I mean, next week's pretty much just a fun race for you, and then you get to race the week after against the GSRC boys.
Yeah, look, like I'm really happy with it. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I didn't want to win it that way. I wanted to have to go to the final round if possible. I think as long as I finish in front of Pete tonight, it was going to be done tonight anyway. But I still wanted to have to fight the whole way. But don't get me wrong, I'm still excited and happy and elated for it. And now my focus just to try and push against the pro boys next week to prepare for the AOWN, because I was told before this round that I'd actually already secured my spot last week. So I'm looking forward to that now, and now I've got to try and find a little bit more pace to get the pro guys.
Well, it'll be a good test for you, because next season you will be a pro. You will be getting upgraded to a pro, being that you've now won the championship. So prepare yourself. You'll now be battling those guys for a championship instead of just running around with them on track side by side. But let us know how helps get you and SLM Motorsport out on track. Anyone else just to give a shout out to as well, mate. For myself, Huddo, and the rest of the league, congratulations on securing the Pro-Am Championship for Season 4 of 2024.
Yeah, thanks, boys. Love your work. Thanks for keeping this going, and thanks to all the guys at SRW for keeping this going. They do a lot of good work. The guys that keep us going is Suit Speed, best sim racing apparel out there if you're looking at getting some. They do gloves, tops, and socks. If you want a 10% discount, use a code SLM, and yeah.
Well, Matty, best of luck next week at Daytona. Enjoy the freedom of no pressure racing at Daytona. And if we don't get a chance to speak to you, best of luck in the AOWN the week after.
Thanks again, boys.
Thank you. Well, next up, Huddo, we'll move on to our pro podium here tonight. We'll start with Daniel Byrne of Carlin's Motorsport. Mr. Byrne, a podium on the road for you tonight, but importantly, a massive chunk of points gained over Dylan De Bono after a mistake was made by him on track, and you've now found yourself with an over 100-point gap over Dylan in the championship standings.
Well, that's huge. I didn't realise, but yeah, I saw when he went off, I was pretty happy to just take it easy and not battle too hard with the guys around me. So yeah, that gives me a good lead going into the end of the season, I guess. So yeah.
So yeah, sorry, just I'll just butt in and talk points at the moment. So we've also got to account for drop rounds as well, guys. As a result, I think of tonight's results, actually there's a 57-point buffer between Boone and De Bono. So after drop rounds, Daniel sits on 1190 and Dylan sits on 1133, and then David Gallo a little ways behind at on 1085. So look, it's still it's quite a sizable lead that we've seen going into the final round. Daniel, how you've been there before? You've won a championship. You've won the Formula One Shadow Round championship. How do you now approach, along with your teammate, the final round? Like, what I guess, what's the game plan, or if you're willing to divulge?
There's no real game plan. It's just stay consistent, do a little bit of practice, don't over practice. I think that's another thing as well. And yeah, I think just because I'm in the lead here, I think David's probably willing to help me out. So if he can tow me or anything like that, if we can organise something like that, I'm sure he'll help me out there and probably give me a position if that helps as well. But yeah, look, just practice and go in and try and keep it clean. Try and because as we saw, tonight, that's a huge loss for De Bono going out like that, and yeah, it's just so quick to turn around on you. So yeah, just got to keep it safe, keep it quick, but keep it safe at the same time.
Yeah, brilliant. And I guess now talking more about the race, the closing stages of the race, when did you know it was going to be a bit of a fuel saver towards the end, or were we just going hell for leather trying to, build as much of a gap to then, possibly come into the pits?
Yeah, well, first of all, normally it's just a one-stopper, so at the beginning I wasn't even thinking that we were going to have to stop again. It was only until I saw Pocock ahead of me was going a lot slower than me, and I'm thinking, is he fuel saving? What's going on there? So that's what triggered me to start looking at my fuel and realizing I've either got to commit either way. And unfortunately, I couldn't commit either way. I was thinking, no, I'm going to push on and then I'll pit. And I was thinking, oh no, maybe I'll fuel save. So it probably cost me time not actually committing to one or the other, because I was driving slowly and I ended up having to pit anyway. So definitely cost me some time. I wouldn't have made it. I would have spluttered around halfway around the last lap, I think. And again, all I was thinking about was those points. I didn't mind if I went into the pits and dropped a few spots, as long as I was well ahead of De Bono and finished the race. I was happy to do that. So yeah.
Good to hear. And lastly from me, what was it like, I guess, trying to make a passing opportunity out on track? We saw, I guess, at one stage of the race, there was yourself, David, and Dylan all in a little train amongst each other and, toing and froing. How was it actually quite hard to get a move done out there tonight, Daniel?
Yeah, it wasn't as easy as we thought it would be. Me and David, when we practice, we don't really practice doing hot laps. We practice battling. So a couple of nights ago we have battles and we're going backwards and forwards. So we're finding there you can make a move in turn 1 and 2 with a switchback, but never got the opportunity to do that. I don't think David did either. And then the big move really is down the back straight. As long as you can stay close to them around that fast right-hander. And then you usually get side by side with them down that back straight and into the hairpin. So that's the main move. And then the other spots, you're just basically looking for mistakes. If someone makes a mistake, you've got to kind of pounce and jump on it.
I guess, yeah, sorry, I did say that was the last one, but yeah, how much concentration was required tonight? Seeing a lot of drivers, sliding and the backs just, getting away from them. Was there much of a, had to be like really on the ball the entire race?
Yeah, it actually, the car felt a lot different around this track to what it normally feels like. It actually reminded me more of the old F3, the way the back end would move around and, getting on the power. You couldn't just slam on the power like you normally can, because the back end would go and it would potentially loop on you. So, and even in the really fast corners where normally you're just flat out, but no, it was maybe it was the setup. I'm not sure what it was, but it definitely felt different. And we knew going into it there was going to be quite a few people going off because you definitely had to take it easy and kind of get on the throttle smoothly, and smooth inputs as well. So yeah, it was pretty tricky out there.
Well, Daniel, you've garnered yourself a good points lead. Thanks for updating us with the drop rounds, Hutto, saving me from making me sound like an absolute tool.
That's right, mate. We're a team.
Yeah,
We're a team.
very good. I'm so glad. Let us know, though, Daniel helps get you and Carlin's Motorsport out on track. Anyone else you wish to give a shout-out to as well? For myself and Hutto, congratulations on P3 hit tonight and to take over the lead of the championship leading into the final round at Daytona.
Cheers, guys. Yeah, Driver 808 on YouTube, Glam Raider, Little Rara, Eagers Automotive, and shout-outs to Atari, Bianca, French and Minka, and Zach and Levi.
Well, mate, best of luck next week in your challenge for the championship at Daytona. Hopefully you can keep your run clean and claim yourself another championship here in SRW. If we don't get a chance to speak to you next week, though, best of luck in the AOWN the week after. You'll be finding out what track that is by, I think, next Wednesday is when that track gets announced publicly. So best of luck in your practice for that one as well.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
See ya.
Next up, we have Danny Davidson, who finished at a P2 here tonight, and we'll have a quick chat to him. Mr. Davidson, you had yourself quite a healthy lead, but unfortunately the lack of fuel saving forced you to come into pit lane, and somehow Scotty Pocock saved just a little bit more to do it in a one-stop. But a P2 on the road is still quite a fantastic finish after a couple of weeks of poor luck for you in this series. Mate, how does it feel to get another podium under your belt and a good solid chunk of points?
Hey guys, sort of mixed feelings. I was halfway through the race. I was expecting to win. Everything was going great. Then I started scratching my head because I noticed I'm going to have to pit stop again. So I wasn't sure what was happening because every other race, but 1 hour's been one stop. So that sort of threw things up in the air a bit and started. Then the race was very difficult because I was stressed out. You know what's happening, and I wasn't sure if I was the only one who had to pit or everybody else. So yeah, bit mixed feelings at the result, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess we saw you were the first to, I guess, pull into the pits out of in the late exchanges, and then slowly but surely the rest of the field, except for Scotty Pocock, came into the pits. I guess, like you said, you had a bit of confusion with the fuel numbers and whatever else, but like there would have been some sort of relief towards the end, seeing the drivers that you weren't the only one that was caught out.
100%, yeah. I was really puzzled, but when I saw everybody else pitting, yeah, it was definitely a relief. And yeah, my entry into the pits wasn't the best on my second time. Otherwise, I could have possibly won the race. But congratulations to Scotty. I mean, he did a great strategy to save fuel. He saved quite a bit of fuel the whole way. So that's a great achievement and a great race.
Yeah,
and,
I think. Also,
yeah.
continue.
Yeah, I'm
keep
just,
going there, sorry.
Ultimately, yeah, second place is a good result. And I'm still pretty happy. You know, it was a tricky track. With the setup and that as well, so I didn't make any major mistakes apart from the pit stop and the thing. But I mean, yeah, that's the way it is. That's racing.
Yeah, I think we might have actually caught a glimpse of that pit entry because I think you had both Hamish and I hearts in mouths. We thought you might have overshot the actual pit entry and gone off, or something a bit something a bit worse than just a bit of a spin going into pit. But I guess, yeah, how was the before, I guess, the first safety car? It seemed like you were, out the front, kind of doing your thing, laying down laps. I guess, what's the aim at the start of the race? Do you have little benchmarks and milestones or goals at the start of a race? Like, what goes through Danny Davidson's head?
To have a clean first lap and not crash. That's a good start. And then just get sort of into a groove for the first few laps when the tyres warm up. It's basically no mistakes. Just try to keep it clean, no mistakes. Try to keep position, and then build up on performance, and go from there. And that's the hardest part. The first few laps, as we've seen through the season. So many things can happen. Dylan went off on a tricky part of the track. That's what I was focusing on, that part of the track, not to make the same mistake because the car was handling pretty tricky on those sections. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I guess we spoke to Daniel just before, saying how much of a handful the car was and having to, I guess, really keep your wits about you for the entire race. I guess, did you have to, don't think we caught too much of it, we weren't held up by any traffic towards the later stages of the race, there was none of that at all tonight?
No, the traffic was not bad. No, it was a pretty clean race. I didn't have much of anything in my way for the whole race. I could just go as fast as I could, and yeah, no problems with that. It's fine.
Well, Danny, another good solid chunk of points for you. Gives you a good opportunity towards the AW end as well. How are you feeling leading into the final round next week? Are you confident at Daytona, or are you just seeing what happens and seeing if you can try and get yourself another podium?
To be honest, I'm not sure if I'm going to be racing the last race. Daytona is not a track that I'm a fan of, really, and I can't win the championship, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be showing up for that race. Haven't decided yet. So yeah, see what happens.
Oh, Danny, thank you so much for coming over to chat to us. Let us know if there's anyone out there that gives you support to get on track, or anyone else you wish to give a shout out to. For myself and Hutto, congratulations on another P2 here in the Cooler Master Super Formula Championship.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Just usual thanks to everybody behind the scenes and you guys for putting on a great broadcast and show every weekend for us. And I might see you next weekend.
Well, mate, if we don't get to see you next week or the AOWN, best of luck in Season 1 if you decide you'd like to return to SRW as well. So, but a great race here tonight and a great race all season as well from yourself.
Okay, guys, take it easy. Thanks.
You too, mate. Thank you. Next up, we have the man, the myth, the legend. He picks up the flag and picks up the celebrations for Red Rocket. It's listed as Red Rocket Racing, but it's Pork Hunt Motorsport for Scotty Pocock. Mr. Pocock.
G'day.
On a week that your teammate could not challenge for his championship, you claim the overall win and you're second in SRW Super Formula Lights. Mate, how does it feel to get that job done? And how much fuel is left in the tank of that car? Because surely you were coughing across the line.
It was coughing, definitely coughing going across the line. It's one of those things, and I always say it when I speak to you guys when I get a good podium spot after some fuel saving. But you got to commit. You've got to decide what you're doing early, and you've got to look at what the cars around you are doing, and you've just got to commit to it. And that's what I did, and everyone else wasn't able to either save enough or weren't saving at all and needed that extra splash and dash.
So yeah, Scotty, when did the penny drop that you had to fuel save? Because it seemed like you were the only one that was privy to it and was able to pull it off. So when did it click?
It was after that safety car when the bulk of the field pit. I wasn't going too hard with the fuel saving, at the start of that stint. But there was still definitely some conscious, lift and coast. Looking at what the cars were doing behind me, and I was maintaining gaps behind. So I thought, I'll start with the ease into it, because this point, if there was another safety car, we all would have made it. So it would have been detrimental to sort of drop positions there. But things fell into place, and I was sort of maintaining gaps back to Daniel Byrne until I thought my tyres were going off a bit. So we sort of had a 2-second gap behind him there for a while. But I was missing apexes and things, and I thought my tyres were going off, and knew that Daniel had put tyres on when he pit, because I jumped him in the pit lane. So that's when I decided, okay, well, it was the iRacing fuel suggestion box thing was telling me to add 3 litres or something. I'm like, well, I can save that to the end, so that's what I did.
Oh, fantastic effort. And I guess, not only challenged with the fuel, but the tyres, as you just mentioned. And I think Hamish and I talked about it too much, but haven't really asked any drivers out there. Did you see what percentages your tyres were at after the race at all, Scotty?
No, I didn't look after the race. I looked after the pit stop, and I think the centre of the front left was at 74%. So, I knew it would be okay, but I think that the cars that did pit for tyres, if they were racing at full speed, which I wasn't because I was fuel saving, but if they would have had the advantage at the end. I think my tyres did drop off a little bit, and I don't know at what point. I'm guessing it's probably your 50%, 60% wear or something like that, or remaining. So
Yeah, really giving them a bit of a workout tonight. And I guess the final lap, we looked up, we saw you had a 3.5 second lead. What was going through your mind? Were you keeping an eye on the relative? Like, take us through that final lap there, Scotty.
yeah, so I think I looked coming onto the main straight on the second last lap. I looked down at my fuel black box, and it was telling me I had a lap and a half of fuel left. And I knew I had a lap and a half to drive, hoping, fingers crossed, that the white flag would come out. Saw it. Everyone else had hit, and I've come across the line. Saw that. Yeah, I thought it was about 4 seconds. It must have been 4 seconds as I'd come out the last corner to start the final lap. Thought 3.5, 4 seconds. I'll really back off here. I'll make sure that I'm going to make it.
Well, Scotty, I mean, you've had a great run here tonight, an up and down season, but a good solid chunk of points. Where would he sit, Hutto, for the AOWN eligibility at the moment?
As it stands, he and 8 other drivers have also qualified. So Scotty's here currently in P9 and have qualified for the Australian Open Wheel Nationals, Hamish.
Well, congratulations for that, Scott. Hopefully we can see you on track for that event. Let us know helps get you and Pork Hunt Motorsport out on circuit. Anyone else wish to give a shout out to as well? For myself, Hutto, and the rest of the league, congratulations on your second ever overall win here in the SRW Cooler Master Super Formula Championship.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I want to thank Miguel for jumping in and sort of spotting for me after he had a bit of a shocking race. He pit and jumped out the car and sort of spotted for me and let me know what was going on around me with people pitting at the end of that race there. So yeah, thanks to him, it was a big help.
I was about to say, were you thanking him for ending up on the top of his car?
It did. No.
Well, it did help you.
Yeah.
But we had to laugh because when we actually saw the replay of his incident, it was the slowest rollover I've ever seen in my life. He backed up to the wall at about 2 k's an hour, and then the car just decided, I'm going to lay on my back now. So
yeah, it's great iRacing physics there.
Phenomenal. But thanks so much for coming over to chat to us, Scott. Best of luck next week at Daytona, and then best of luck in the AOWN the week after as well.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Next up, we have confirmed another champion. Mr. David Gallo becomes the second and currently final ever F1 Shadow Series champion in SRW. Sorry for such a long wait there, David. We had about 6 other people to get through before we could get to you, but you are officially now our provisional F1 Shadow Series champion of 2024. It will be solidified next week. You've already won it on points, but once next week's round is completed, without you getting penalties, you are the current champion. So congratulations.
Evening, gents. Thank you.
I guess, firstly, congratulations from me, David. I guess when we started out in Season 1, was the F1 Shadow Round something you targeted to try and go out and win, or was it just a matter of putting the consistent results we've seen across all 4 seasons and see how we end up?
No, it wasn't particularly on the radar early on. I think there was a couple of sort of rounds in between seasons which I sort of jumped on, and I don't know if I missed any rounds through the season, but no, it wasn't on the radar until I think probably maybe season 3, I think, when I sort of started looking at it a bit closely, and I think it was Daniel and Marcus were there tailing, and we were sort of close, so no, it wasn't that early on.
I guess, back to tonight's race. Quite busy for you out there. What was the game plan going in, seeing as both you and Daniel were, I guess, you're both in contention for the championship, and unfortunately results haven't quite gone your way tonight for one of those. But yeah, what was the game plan going in?
Yeah, I think when we were sort of, Danny and Dylan were sort of up front, we sort of just sort of wanted to make a gap and sort of keep it sort of consistent sort of there. I think when Dylan sort of dropped off or there or sort of come off track and we sort of jump into 2 and 3, I sort of told Daniel that, as we get to the pointy end, I'll let him have position because I think he's sort of got that gap in points. So that was a bit of a team strategy there, I think. But then I think between the safety car and I sort of got some damage and ended sort of far down the back, and Daniel just sort of kept it clean and pushed on. So yeah, it was a bit of an interesting race up and down the field, that's for sure.
Mm. And we mentioned to a few drivers that overtaking was going to be quite difficult this evening. How important was qualifying this evening?
Yeah, it was tough. I think me and Daniel sort of worked together a little bit there, and probably gave us a little bit of an upper hand, a 10th or 2, so we put us sort of up the top end. It was tricky. Yeah, it was tricky making position. We're sort of grateful that we were sort of there in the top sort of 5 or 6. To sort of push on and sort of in some clean air there, but not an easy track to make position. The draft in that sort of last sector sort of does sort of pull you into sort of that last turn, but making that sort of dive there and even into turn 1 sort of pretty sketchy. It sort of tends to turn around on you, and likewise coming over to the back straight, that sort of right hand sort of hanger off camber, it's pretty on edge, the car. Yeah, that's for sure.
Brilliant. And I guess, just doubling back to the F1 Shadow Series, like it's been, we've had 20, 30 odd races, I think it's been. Like the F1 series goes for a long, long time. Are there any sort of races or wins that stand out in your mind that kind of helped you get to where you were?
Oh, no, none sort of stood out. I'm not sure whether Zandvoort was an F1 round or not, but that was probably one of my best results, I think. I think it was just round per round. So I think Daniel's pushed me along a bit to sort of and helped me with quality a bit. We tend to push each other along and keep each other honest, so that's definitely helped me this season. I think when we compare data and do a few laps together, we sort of push each other, and I think it's shown our consistency and our times this year. Yeah.
Well, Daniel, you've managed to prove for a second year in a row that Carlins Motorsport are the team to beat in the F1 Shadow Series. Next year, it is not currently penciled in to happen, so take solace in the fact that your team is the only team to ever win this championship. Yourself and Daniel, the only 2 to win it. This, for me, solidifies you as probably the best driver of 2024, not just in SFLs, but across all of SRW, because you've won 2 series titles in arguably the hardest series to win them. And you've also won the yearly championship for that as well. So congratulations on your F1 Shadow Series win. Your 2 championships this season, and for my money, the best driver of 2024 in all of SRW. Let us know how to get you and Carlins Motorsport out on track. Anyone else wish to give a shout out to as well? For myself and Hutto, congratulations on securing this championship here tonight.
Yeah, thank you. A shout out to you guys at SRW. 4 awesome seasons of racing. So thank you all the effort you guys put in. A shout out to Carlins Motorsport, Driver 808, which is Daniel on YouTube and TikTok, Glam Raider, Little Rara, and Eagles Automotive, and a shout out to my wife and my 2 girls, Valerie and Anthea.
Well, Daniel, best of luck next week at Daytona, where you'll try and challenge your teammate and Dylan DeBono for the Season 4 championship. It's a little bit out of reach at this stage, I do believe. How far is Daniel off of David at the moment, Hutto?
So David is currently sitting on 1085, Dylan's 1133, and Daniel's sitting on top on 1190. So what's that? 105 points. So it'd have to be a big result for the most consistent driver we've seen all years, Hamish.
Pretty much, Daniel. You have to do, or David, you have to do what Daniel did tonight, and you need Daniel and Dylan to do what Dylan did tonight. Pretty much. So for that to happen.
All I can do is be his wingman and hopefully put a quality lap down or help him where I can, I suppose. But it's going to be a tough round, I think, Daytona.
Well, mate, best of luck next week, and if we don't get a chance to speak to you, best of luck in the AOWN the week after.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thanks. Well, Hutto, 1 round to go, 1 round to rule them all, and the championship has been stretched out in a 70-point shift in the way of Daniel Byrne leading into the final round. Oh, it's going to be interesting because it's not over for DeBono. If he just has a clean run next week and Daniel has a poor one, he can still win the title. They have been oh so chaotic the last few seasons in the final round. It's not out of the realm of possibility for that to happen and to swing the way of Dylan DeBono in the dying embers of this series.
Well, we've said it all season, Hamish. Lady Luck can, turn up on the day. You can win it from third position, or you can have it ripped out of your hands in the final moments of the race. So, look, anything's on the card next week. Tonight was nothing short of exciting towards the end. I really didn't expect that to be a fuel strategic type race. A fantastic race by Scotty Pocock to get that job done. But in terms of the championship next week, Hamish, it's it's a mammoth effort for DeBono to try and claw those 57 points back. Can he do it? Look, it's possible. It's mathematically possible, and we've seen tonight that it's much easier to have a poor round than it is a good round. So, on to week 9, Hamish.
Well, mathematically, he gave up over 100 points tonight before drop rounds were included. He gave up 70 points with the drop rounds.
Yeah,
so
it's a tough pill to swallow.
It's a very
look,
tough pill.
We've seen it before, and I'll say it again. Anything can happen on that final week, Hamish.
That's exactly right. I mean, realistically, he needs Daniel Byrne to finish below P15, and he needs to try and get a win, is what Dylan DeBono needs. So he needs Byrne outside of the top 15. If Byrne gets inside the top 15, he will win the title. There's no mathematical way that would shift it. Based on the points difference that they have, 57 points, what would it be? 40 points is 10 positions, and then to get another 17 is 4 and 1. So 15 positions pretty much to clinch it for Mr. Byrne.
Yeah, it's still gonna be a tight one. Probably won't be riding off either driver or etching any names into any cups just yet. But look, let's just move on forward to week 9.
The only names that we can etch in is Matthew Keane and David Gallo. They have solidified their championships for 2024 and for Season 4 of 2024 as well. But next week, 2 other titles yet to be crowned. That could be going the way of Keegan Caldwell or Daniel Byrne, or it could be going the way of Dylan DeBono and Keegan Caldwell leading into next week. It's not over yet. It's not over until the Fat Lady sings. It's not over till the final checkered flag flies of the season. So be sure to be here next week, 7:50 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, to catch the final round of the Cooler Master Super Formula Championship for 2024 out at Daytona Road Course. We're heading to the Palm Beaches of Florida to end out this title race. Who's going to win? Daniel Byrne, Dylan DeBono, Caldwell to Sasha Shop to crown himself as AM champion. But, ladies and gentlemen, a big shout out to all of our series sponsors, including our title sponsors, Cooler Master, for their continued support here on the Super Formula Championship, as well to Warren & Brown Tools for their support of the Tuesday night Fiat Supercars Series and Sunday night Fiat Supercars Championship, and to Shannon's Insurance for their support on the Thursday night GR86 Nationals, but our other series sponsors, NeuroPower, DSL Rail Services, Shunt Scenery, and Grim Industries, home of the V8 Coffee Table, which can be found on Prime Video's Top Gear Australia during the news, interviews, and other studio segments. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the like button, the subscribe, and the bell icon as well, so you're notified whenever we go racing here on SRWtv. Tomorrow night for the GR86 Nationals, they'll be going out for Super Sprint action, the final ever Super Sprint round of SRW out at Fuji Motor Speedway. So be sure to check that action out. But I've been Hamish Munro alongside Brad Hudson once again. We appreciate your time, appreciate you being here with us once again. We'll see you guys next time for the final round. But until then, stay safe, drive hard, and as always, bye for now.
This is amazing. It was clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Waters. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down the hill. Sam Noble wants to sniff on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because, tell you what, Reece Tanak and Jamie Dyson just absolutely drove away from us.